Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Oh, a little step back. Beautiful on the score for Snead.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Mark Vital. Offensive rebound. Out to Butler. Welcome to Baylor basketball.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Prescott going end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Dalton Schultz.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This is a short week after the holiday weekend. Hope you enjoyed your 4th of July on Sunday, and then yesterday the holiday as well. And I heard fireworks, whatever you want to call them, late last night. Paul, your favorite day after the 4th of July.
Yeah, I dealt with that. I went to see the fireworks this week. I did say I went to see them. I did. I have no willpower anymore. I was painted into a corner.
Greg, did you get to view any off of your view? Any popping in your view? I heard a lot, but I never really saw anything.
Yeah, where my balcony is, you can kind of see across the city. So there's like 3 of them going on at one time. I guess there's one downtown, one at Baylor maybe, one over, by the lake. And so I kind of get a kind of wraparound view of a few of them, which is kind of nice. So, yeah, I saw quite a few and still heard a bunch yesterday. So people were getting off the last ones I guess they had left over or whatever. But, yeah, it was a good July 4th.
I can just picture you out in the front yard with your little sparklers.
Yeah, no, I went to the Baylor Club, and so. And
you watched fireworks.
I sat at McClain
Did you
Stadium
enjoy
and watched
them?
Fireworks. They were the same as they've always ever been.
I know, but did you enjoy them? Were you happy to be there?
Sure, yeah, I was happy to be there.
You happy to see fireworks?
I mean, it's just part of the evening. I mean, it's just one of the things I was still.
Well, I'm shocked by that.
It's one of those things that, I'll never get.
Okay, Jared Butler, Big 12 Male Athlete of the Year. He, of course, was honored earlier this year, Student Athlete of the Year in the Big 12, and also has been honored many other ways. What non-Baylor athlete in the history of their program, who we know how they fared, whatever sport, non-football, would have been the number one NIL candidate had their career ended up exactly the way it was, but NIL was involved? Michael Johnson? Was he? I mean, he was a star in college, but he wasn't that.
No one cares about college track. Let's be real about it. I mean, I'm not. Let's just cut through it. I mean, no one really follows college track. I mean, Sha'Carri, Richardson got a little bit of, some buzz, but Michael Johnson's a Team USA guy. That's what he is to 99% of people out there. I guarantee you 99% of people have no idea where he went to college. So I would say no on him. Grace and I kind of kicked this around earlier because I think we had a question in the mailbag. I mean, Brittany Griner, I think especially in today's world where everybody's a bit more open-minded, that she would have, been somebody because, I mean, who was like her when she was playing? There was nobody like Brittany Griner. I mean, she was one of a kind, and that's not the most popular sport either, but I think that she was so unique at the time especially that she would have gotten some attention. So she was one of the people that came to mind for me.
I can't think of anybody off the top that, there's a lot of, they've had some non-football stars, obviously, but I was trying to think, I'm talking mega deals. And
my answer eventually, if you start at the beginning of their career, they all just get to have that. Dee Richards would have been mine. If you start year one and she gets 4 full years of name, image, likeness, I feel like she would have had as many sponsorships as anybody. That's who would be my go-to just because of her personality. She's also a pretty good player too. So. Definitely a couple of Lady Bears that spring to mind.
Thanks to Three Nations Brewing Company. Had a nice conversation with Mr. Royers, John, and they are going to sponsor our upcoming, not this week, but midweek next week, Big 12 Media Days in Arlington on Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Three Nations Brewing opened back in 2015, but they have their new location the last couple of years in downtown Carrollton. So congratulations to Three Nations Brewing for joining us here, and they've been a part of the SicEm365.com tailgating for the last couple of years, and we appreciate John Royals and Brian Etheridge for helping make that happen. Raising Cane's is in the NIL business. Isaiah Spiller, hell of a running back from Texas A&M. Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, the quarterback. NIL partnering with Cameo and Raising Cane's, one after another. Here's another NIL story. Casey Thompson of Texas said that he's going to help take whatever or part of whatever he's going to do Cameo, but personal video messages, $50 a pop, and then NoKidHungry.org is the organization. He's going to give back to some of that. So that's a smart move right there. Not only will he make a little money off of that, but also donate. No, he's going to donate all the proceeds to that organization. Good for Casey Thompson.
Yeah, good for him. That also helped the taxes, I would think, donating rather than just going about, taking it all in that you can. But, yeah, I mean, I'm interested to know the guys who maybe have the opportunity that they don't need the money right away, that they will, use it in helpful ways towards those who actually do need the money. So that's good to see. And, yeah, there's been deals all over, and, Raising Cane's, as you said, is now in the business as well. And, I'm curious, like I said last week, like I'll continue to say, I see all this money being spread around, and I'm just wondering, when's it going to come back to the people who are spending it? How much do these college kids really matter when it comes to, spreading brand awareness and all that? And I think social media, like we talked about last week, is going to be a huge part of it.
It is huge, but also some of that, it's kind of the American Idol effect. And Smokey, you had a good question off the top of, like, if you really think of Baylor athletes, non-football, who would make you want to go and buy a product, not just show up that one day. Like the point of a celebrity endorser is that when you think of Nike, or Michael Jordan, you think of Nike, that they're synonymous with it, and you buy it because you trust that person, because it works for them. And so if you went to every college town in America and ask them which player on the current team would make them want to buy something, not just the one time at whatever chicken finger restaurant.
Matthew Meyer had the signing yesterday.
And it might be worth it for one. There might be plenty of one-offs.
Whatever, okay.
But like long-term investors, like mega money, like Craig's talking about, there's probably a lot. Like, I think about it compared to American Idol. People will watch American Idol every week for the 15 weeks or 20 weeks that it's on, right? And then when those people who won it, even won it for the most part, when it comes time to like legitimately buy their album and give them money, they don't do it. So kind of like,
unless they're Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, like Carrie Underwood's broken. Yeah,
a couple
of them have broken through, but there are a couple of winners, like Ruben Studdard. What's the last time you heard of him?
Tasia Barrino.
Yeah, I mean, who's the last time you heard about him?
Ruben Studdard was a badass.
Yeah, he had a beautiful voice, but again, nobody's going, hey, Ruben Studdard's coming to my town,
What's
let's go.
What's that guy's name, Lambert?
Adam Lambert. He's singing with Queen, but he hit it big. But it's the same thing with college athletes. So for every, RG3 that's worth that dollar that would just keep coming back forever, that no matter in the 254, if Robert Griffin III told you to drink this soda or do that, there's going to be plenty of people that go, okay, I trust him. There's plenty of college athletes that, while they like him, aren't going to get you out the door.
Well, it's interesting here. American top team in Miami. They're going to. Is this?
Go ahead.
Nope.
No.
I
don't have it for my segment. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to make sure. One of the top training academies for MMA fighters, 44 licensed gyms throughout South Florida and the world, are going to finalize plans to offer name, image, likeness contracts to every University of Miami scholarship football player. And it could be up to $500 a month, $6,000 a year, and it could reach $540,000 in an investment.
See, how is that not an inducement?
Well, that's my question is this is just, I sent you that email, by the way.
And I haven't heard back yet.
Last week, Dayton or whoever, it was some Midwestern small school, said that an alum who runs a business will be sponsoring basically every player who plays basketball for Dayton and their men's basketball team. And I have no idea how that's not an inducement, because you're saying if you play here, you're automatically getting this. That is the definition of an inducement. This is even more so. I don't know how, I can't wait to talk to Mack Rhoades because I have no idea how this is in any way, shape, or form not an inducement when you're already saying you're going to get paid to.
In the state of Texas, they cannot do that.
Right, that's different rules.
But in Florida, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Like, I'd have to talk to somebody, the Chad Jackson of the University of Miami, to figure that out, whoever that is.
A couple of things. We're going to have Max Olson at 3:30, theathletic.com, and his thoughts initially. But also, we have a member of OpenDoors.com. Sam Weber, he is the brand marketing director. Blake Armstrong, a former Nebraska football player, started this business. He's the CEO, and they are flat out well ahead of the curve. We're going to ask him a lot of that. We'll get into that. We can even ask him. He's at 4 o'clock today, then Mack Rhoades at 4:20.
But this is just like this guy, you can just see the picture. I mean, he's very successful. Obviously, American top teams, a big-time gym and MMA. But he just looks like a D-bag who's wanting his college football team to be great, and so he's going to pay to, I guarantee you, as best as I can guarantee without saying for sure, he was already doing this. Now he can just talk about it.
Now he can do it and let everyone know.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was already paying this money to every Miami football player, or at least the good ones. I mean, if you read this guy's quotes, I mean, he's all about the U being back, and when's the U been good? When they were cheating their pants off. Because that's not a school that Sean Taylor and Willis McGahee and those guys are going to, if not for football. I mean, it's not. So Miami is a small private school that somehow got known for football. So I guarantee this dude's been doing this the entire time anyways. And, now he can just say, like, hey, now I can say it to everybody. If you come here, I'm going to pay you some money to be a Hurricane.
If Nevin Shapiro, who was the guy who ran the big scandal that got Miami in trouble the last time, had he not been also running a pyramid scheme that wound up in federal prison, a lot of the stuff that he was doing was basically paying guys for appearances at nightclubs he was doing cocaine at. I mean, he could have done that. I mean,
if I'm a former SMU booster, they got slapped back in the 80s because of whatever they were doing, which was paying players. I'm going all in.
I'm pretty sure they have, as given by the 5-star wide receiver that committed to them over the weekend, and given another transfer they brought in out of nowhere from Oregon. The 12th ranked
5-star receiver, Jordan Hudson from Garland High School, committed to SMU over Alabama and Texas, had been committed to Oklahoma, decommitted in June, reopened it, visited Texas and also SMU. He's committed to Sonny Dykes and company.
Okay, so now the thing is that they can't be used as inducements. That's the rule in Texas. But as we know...
How do you prove that?
That's a great question, is how do you prove that I didn't just happen into a place while I was on my official visit? And that guy, or I mean, especially if you have a coach who's a little crooked, go, you know where you should eat tonight? Go eat at Ted's Barbecue. Good old Ted's Barbecue. It's the best in town. And then...
make sure you order that certain plate.
Yeah. And get the number 7. And when they order the number 7, somebody comes out and goes, you know what comes with the number 7? A lifetime endorsement contract.
Yeah.
I mean, so...
I know.
But don't say anything yet.
I got to say, too, though, like that the whole American Top Team thing, $6,000, I would take $6,000 right away. But I can also tell you it's not going to last me very long. So, I mean... on the one hand, that's absolutely inducements, and I don't see how it's not. And this is why the different rules for different states is a complete crock, and why the NCAA is itself the biggest crock of all crocks, because they allowed this to happen. But when you break it down, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more players who make better money, like De'Aaron King. But at the same time, I don't know how, that money ain't going to last you for a couple of years or anything like that. It's not even going to last you probably a full year. So it's a little something, and it's more than they got, but it's not like they're all getting rich off this. De'Aaron King probably will, though.
There's some college athletes that are at certain schools, and I'm not going to name any of them, but, just a tongue-in-cheek, you're only getting $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
We've been getting 10.
Well, that's just for one deal.
Yeah. Also, this is another story that continues on about once or twice a year. His name's Joshua Tarver, quarterback out of Fort Bend Austin High School in Sugar Land. Committed to transfer to IMG Academy in Florida. Quarterback, I think a 4-star guy, pretty good player. IMG Academy comes in and plucks Texas. I'm not saying Texas doesn't have their own problem with recruiting, but I saw that yesterday. It was almost, I said, committed. Oh, what school is he going to? Oh, it's a high school.
IMG.
I saw someone the other day mention as if going to another high school as a transfer, which can get you in trouble with the UIL, made a big announcement he was transferring to another school within the same suburb.
Also, you know why IMG lives in the state it lives in.
Because they
because
can.
they can.
Yeah,
So because they can do it, like people aren't going to bat an eye. Now the coaches in Florida hate it, but they still play him in a lot of things. And it's weird because I would wonder, is Joshua Tarver paying to go to IMG Academy?
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
So got a grant. I'm sure.
So,
right?
no, you know what the grant is?
Yes.
So there are, and for people who don't know this, there are 2 IMG teams. There is IMG Blue. That's where Joshua Tarver's going. As you can tell here, on show the thing.
There it is. Let's see which camera.
Yeah,
there it is.
It's blue, right?
Yep.
Okay. There's also IMG White. And IMG White is the helicopter parents who determined that their 5'7", 165-pound kid who might run well is going to play at Alabama, and they want to get him a scholarship. So they send him off to IMG Academy. He's never going to Alabama. He's probably not.
Are they paying?
He's probably not going to Alabama State. Whatever. Yeah.
Are they paying for him to go to IMG Academy?
So yeah, they pay the tuition, which is
the least talented group does,
which is exorbitant. And then that guy, little guy, is essentially paying for Josh
Tarver. Short guy? Why can't it just be some guy?
Because I happened upon 3 years ago when I went back to my high school reunion for the homecoming game. The homecoming game. I say again, the homecoming game. IMG White was the team they played and won by 63. Okay. And this is the team that went 5-5. So
yeah, there you go. We're going to get into that with Max Olson. Also, again, Sam Weber from OpenDoors.com. You can look it up if you want to between now and 4. It's a really explosive company when it comes to marketing the brand of many athletes, not just college. Joey McGuire, this is something that was announced but delayed because of COVID. But coming up this month, July 17th in San Antonio, the class of 2020 high school honor, the Hall of Honor will induct Baylor's assistant head coach Joey McGuire in the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor. He was recently at a coach's clinic and bumped into Matt Rhoades. I happened to get that information. Now, the Rangers have 3 All-Stars.
I don't know how that happened.
Kyle Gibson, 198 earned run average. That's one reason.
Yeah.
Hell, he might start.
He might, yeah.
Joey Gallo, who's on fire, and Aldonis Garcia, who's been a great story in baseball. The Astros have 4. The Rangers, who are 25 games back, have 3. And every one of those guys has a story.
Yeah. And Joey Gallo and Garrett Cole are interesting if you put them up next to each other. The last month, what's happened?
Since the sticky.
Since the crackdown.
It's like one of those, like this. So in other words, it was like this, and it's like this, right?
Yeah. And Garrett Cole got booed off the mound on Saturday night, and so did Aroldis Chapman. And Joey Gallo's hitting home runs every other day.
Yeah. By the way, Jake Smith, the receiver from UT, just posted up he's committed to play at USC. Okay, Craig, I'm sorry. You're going to have to start telling me all that. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just popped. I'm sorry. They've got 5 or 6 guys from UT that have gone now to Southern Cal. All right, anything else? I'm killing you off the radar. I'm sorry about that. So those are some stories. We'll have more with Craig at 4:45. Max Olson today at 3:30. Number to call, 254-339-1122. Thoughts about the NIL? What have you known, watched, or seen, or what questions do you have about name, image, and likeness? We've had almost now, this will be our 3rd show since it all went down on Wednesday, July the 1st. In the studio today, along with us, Emma, Hayden, Jack, and Armstrong as well. 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio. I saw a commercial the other day. I was watching, I don't know what it was on television, but I saw a Marco's Pizza commercial. Big, thick crust pizza. Looks so good, steamy, meat, all what you want, some veggies on it. Looked like what they used to call the works when I used to work at a pizza place. Had onions and bell peppers and pepperoni and also, I think, Italian sausage. Just really good pizza. They'll deliver it to you. Locations in Waco, around the area in Belmead, China Spring, and also in Woodway. They deliver here to various times of when we're hungry or when we have other particular special events going on as well. Bob Mock, the owner, has been a part part of the pizza business for a long, long time. And now he runs the 3 Marco's Pizza in the Waco area in Belmead, China Spring, and also Woodway. It's the pizza that pizza lovers know all about. It's Marco's Pizza.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. Mack Rhoades today at 4:20. We'll have Sam Weber, opendoors.com at 4, and Max Olson coming up in just a moment. Remember the story about the tennis player, the young lady that said that she was battling depression and Osaka, right? There was a player in Wimbledon, at Wimbledon yesterday, or sometime over the weekend, that eventually backed out in a match, and John McEnroe kind of popped at her, thought that maybe she was just, it was too big of a moment. Come to find out she couldn't breathe. She struggled breathing, so he's taking some heat, on that. But Boris Becker, pretty good player, won a bunch of Wimbledon titles. You hear about this? This is on Naomi Osaka. he's skeptical about her hiatus. If you can't deal with the media, it's very difficult to be a professional tennis player. The tour isn't possible without the press. And it's difficult to make your prize money or money for your sponsors without the media. It's something we look forward to. But it's part of the job. You have to learn to deal with it. Is it really pressure? Isn't it pressure when you don't have food on the table? When you've got to feed your family, you don't have a job? When you have a life-changing injury? Isn't that more pressure? You're 23, you're healthy, you're wealthy, your family's good. You're the blanking, where's the blanking pressure? He then went on to say, it was interesting that she feels so much pressure, and yet she had enough time to tweet last month that she's going to be on the cover of Vogue magazine in Japan.
Well, and that's a very good point, and maybe more blunt than people want to hear. And look, if Naomi Osaka doesn't feel like she can do press conferences right now, then she shouldn't go play. Then she shouldn't play tennis, and she shouldn't be at these events. But unless you are at the head of a scandal, press conferences are pretty easy, even when you've had a bad game. And look, I know that our people can ask really dumb questions, and some of them might wind up hurting your feelings. But look, no one is out to hurt Naomi Osaka's feelings. I say no one. No one's out to do that. Now, there are people who are bad at their job that will wind up doing it, but that does not mean that you should not be able to do a press conference. And the thing is, you don't have to do well at them. Just show up.
Well, I mean, it would have taken her 5 minutes to do a press conference and been done with it, and instead we've had 2 months of talking about who's in the right and who's in the wrong. So, just based on that alone, was the last 2 months of all the talk about it worth it, or should you have just done a 5 to 10 minute press conference where, yes, the questions get repetitive, and yes, it might be boring, but honestly, how much time does it really take you? Now, look, if you start getting into like the one-on-one interviews and all that kind of stuff, like that's one thing, and I can get not one to do interviews, but a press conference is not that big of a deal. Not every question is like some deep emotional like barb, that you gotta get deep inside and really. No, it's the questions are stupid. Well, and the answers can be very simple and passed along pretty quickly, and then you can get your butt on out of there. Like, this is so much more than her just doing that press conference and being done with it. So I think this has all gotten way too big for what the situation was, and I could care less if I ever hear Naomi Osaka's voice. Like, honestly, I have nothing against her. She's a great tennis player, but I watch her to play tennis. I don't watch her to listen to her talk. And
sometimes you don't have to answer any questions.
And sometimes you don't have to answer any questions. And so I don't know about like starting to go like, well, if you had mental health, why are you tweeting? Like, I think that's pretty stupid because you can tweet even if you have mental health issues. But I also do think, as someone who, going back years now on radio in Waco, I've talked about mental health and talked about how we need to be more open about it. But now I feel like we've become so open about it that people just use it as a crutch and as an excuse for everything. Oh, I need a mental health day, or I need a mental health this, or I need a mental health break. And look, I think that it's great that we've taken strides, and we do need to acknowledge mental health, and we do need to be aware of it. But I do think now it's become like a crutch for some people.
Well, I mean, if
don't we always go overboard when it's all the way over on the left, and no one recognizes? I mean, the left is in the topics over here is zero, and then all of a sudden it becomes kind of a trend. Next thing you know, it's like, whoa.
Well, I mean, look, and if you got like mental health, what is mental health? Is the grind of being a tennis player, press conferences and the matches and the fans, is that getting to you? Well, then that means you need to take a mental health break because your whole job is getting to you. The endorsements and all those things, it's all too stressful, and you had to take a step back. But if the most mundane thing you have to do is the thing that's putting you over the edge, then you've got bigger problems. And one of the things I remember thinking this was funny, and you see it all over the place, but there are people that like boosters or whatever in college, and one of the things they do if they have donated enough money is they'll bring them down and take them into the post-game press conference. And for someone who doesn't, see that often, it can seem pretty exciting. But to us in the business, it's the most mundane part of anything we do is the press conference. It is utilitarian. We do it because we need to be informed, but it's not something that we do it for that reason. We also do it because we want to make sure we're there if in fact something is said. But it's straight up factual purposes.
Right.
That's what a press conference is for. It's for this. What happened in the third set when you tweaked your ankle and came back? Did it bother you? Those are the questions that they're going to ask. It's not going to be like, what do you think about the conflict in Syria, and where do you stand on that issue? Now, those things happen sometimes, but most of the time, a press conference... And
Kyrie Irving, didn't he kind of back away because of Israel and what's going on?
But most of the time, and I'll tell anybody this who's excited, like, oh, the press conference. Most of the time, it's, well, Coach, your team struggled in the third quarter a little bit. What happened to turn it around? Oh, well, we just started calling some different plays.
Yeah, there's a few times when you see writers and or us, depending, television as well, media, when you're in a press conference, and it depends if you're writing a story or a feature on somebody, and you may ask a question you can use in the feature or ask a coach about a certain player, et cetera. But I don't – listen, you want to talk about pressure? When COVID hit and we could do everything on Zoom, I did miss a few of the in-person. I did miss those. Like I'm glad when they came back with Dave Aranda. But I could miss a lot of them. It wouldn't bother me at all. But to say that there's a lot of pressure during those moments, even after a gut-wrenching loss, no.
No, there's definitely not. I mean, she's self-applying that pressure, or she's got people around her that maybe need to ease some of that pressure because, yeah, if she's feeling that because of press conferences, I just think it's all bull. I think she just doesn't want to do them, and she's finding any way that she can. I'm not saying she's making up mental health issues, but every single person walking this earth could cry mental health and be right by definition, quite frankly. So I just hear that a lot more now, whereas it used to be, shh, don't even bring that up. Now it's like if you don't have a mental health issue or cry for, and I don't mean cry like that, but, cry out mental health or something, then you're almost not normal. You know what I mean? It's like it's become so common, and to hear her use that as a reason for not wanting to do press conferences, I just don't buy it. I just, like I said, I don't think she likes doing them, and that's fine, but it's part of the job. Like it's like the marijuana thing last week with Sha'Carri Richardson. Like I get it. I think she should be able to take a couple of gummies, which is what she did apparently. She ingested it because she had learned her biological mother passed, and I can see that. She probably should have had a drink instead. Maybe she doesn't drink. I don't know. That's a whole other matter. But, bottom line is it was a rule. A rule is a rule. And so if a rule is to do press conferences or get fined, then you got to do them. I don't care what your mental health says.
And by the way, she will answer questions at the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, Max Olson, TheAthletic.com, his thoughts about the first few days of name, image, and likeness, and then we'll have Sam Weber from OpenDoors.com, who also spoke at the Elite 11 competition to the players who were there, the athletes, about it. This is SicEm365 Radio.
I saw Lance Donaldson on the 4th of July. I actually sat down, had broke some bread with his family at the Baylor club, including his daughter Maya. Tricked me into getting my face painted with flowers on it. And if you guys are nice, I'll show you that picture one day. But it was a great time. And I tell you that about Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. If you're looking for a new home, you're going to be dealing with a family guy who knows what it's like to have an ever-growing and changing family. Look, he's got 2 older children and 2 younger children. He just became a grandfather, so he knows about the morphing of a house and how you have to change your life. He knows how to navigate that market. He knows how you're going to maybe have to make snap decisions because of it. That's what Lance can do for you. And if you are in the market for a new home or looking to sell the one you're in, you need to give him a call. He describes himself as a local realtor with a unique perspective, and I can tell you by spending the amount of time with him that I have that is absolutely and completely true. So just Google Lance Donaldson or at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com or give him a call, 254-214-3713 for Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Max Olson, weekly guest during college football season, also on occasion with us during the off season when there are things to discuss. And in fact, there are with name, image, and likeness, which we're now in like day 5 of that. Max, good afternoon, and hope your summer and weekend was great. What are your early thoughts on what you've learned, seen, or maybe even recognized these first few days of NIL?
Hey guys, appreciate you having me on. You know, I think it's been interesting to watch the first few days of this. Obviously, there's still not like a ton of clarity on maybe best practices with this stuff as everyone kind of figures it out school to school and state to state with this. And I also think we're just in a time period where there's going to be a lot of trial and error, and the kind of the first iteration of this probably is not going to, like, there's going to be a lot of people making deals and a lot of companies and you know, boosters or whatever investing money in this. Will they actually get any return on that money? I don't really know, but I think there's a lot of people trying to make moves and see if this works and see what the benefit is. And, you know, I definitely applaud guys like, you know, De'Aaron King or Mackenzie Milton who had a plan and have made good money and have sort of approached this with a couple different things they want to do. And hopefully a lot of players are able to benefit from this. But yeah, so far, I mean, would you say we've seen like deals that really like change the world? Not really, but at the same time, I am curious how much we will find out about just sort of how much these deals are worth and which players are the highest paid and all that. It's still very unclear sort of how that's all going to, sort of play out and how transparent that stuff's going to be.
Max, one of the weird things about them, the NCAA deregulating this, is one of the guidelines they gave people was if you have a state law, then that's your law. Or if you don't, then you can take the law that's maybe being proposed and do that as a guideline, or take someone else's state law and use that as a guideline. Why didn't they just, if they agreed to let everybody do that, why didn't they just do that themselves and make that the rule? Pick their favorite state, Texas, Florida, California, make that the rule and go.
Look, man, I'm not paid to defend the NCAA. You're not going to get me doing all that. I think that clearly, they've had this deadline of July 1 for a very, very long time. They even got it pushed back. It should have been, I think, the start of 2021. But this was known for a very long time. This was coming, and clearly they could not get all their ducks in a row and get the desired outcome that they wanted in time for July 1. And so, yeah, it leads to this kind of free-for-all. And, where is that, like, being completely taken advantage of? I guess we don't really know yet. But, you certainly have to applaud the states that had this figured out and had a good, sensible plan in place. But you would think there needs to be, some uniformity in that, too. And so where does that, where's the compromise there? And is that going to still be one that hopefully very much favors the athletes and not the NCAA? That's the thing that still has to be sorted out here in the months ahead.
So, Max, kind of in line with that, I was under the impression that there weren't supposed to be like actual inducements. It was, you go to a school and you get a deal to sponsor whatever, but it was not even when the clock hit 0 for NIL to start that Dayton basketball already had an alum saying, if you play basketball at Dayton, you're going to be sponsored by me. Miami today, with their booster saying every Hurricane player is going to get paid. Does that just come down to different state laws? Because that's obviously not happening here in Texas. And, I guess, is that all it boils down to, or are those just inducements and that's free game right now?
Yeah, no, certainly I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are trying to test, where's the line. And certainly that seems to be the case here at Miami, where there's talk of, I think the story said, $6,000 for every player or something like that. And they were trying to round up money from businesses around town to make Miami great again or whatever. And look, that kind of stuff, like it looks and feels a little icky, but there's going to be a lot of that, I think, in the months ahead here as people try to figure out where is that line and why can't we just sort of figure out a way to almost like super PACs, like just have all these people contribute to this fund that's paying players. Now, what do the players have to sort of like do to actually earn that is a good question. But look, there's going to be a lot of that. I certainly you would think at the SEC programs, they're going to figure out a way to creatively do this, above board and all that, and however way they can. So that is going to be the challenge here. Is it is kind of an arms race. Now, of course, the intent of this was that the schools are not arranging deals for players too. So they have to figure out a way to do that sort of within the confines of those rules. But certainly the story out of Miami today is an example of, if a few of those get off the ground, then you're going to certainly see at other schools a urgency to, oh man, they're doing this. We need to figure out some way to do this too.
You are, and I am, and Mitch Sherman, the definition of insanity. We love Nebraska football, no matter what we have to deal with now annually. Is a place like...
I wouldn't say love, but okay, keep going. Yep.
Well, I love them. I God bless. But is a place like Lincoln, otherwise there's no big metropolitan. There's some businesses out of Nebraska that are, very, very wealthy men or women or whatever. Is a place like that, or even Waco, or places that are not big schools or big, huge suburban areas, do they have a competitive disadvantage?
Oh, I think potentially there's a competitive advantage. I mean, I think in the case of Nebraska, you're the only show in town in the whole state, and so like we haven't seen anything really insane on the Nebraska side of things so far. You see players launching clothing lines or podcasts or getting small deals with Runza or stuff like that. But certainly, I think there are places like Lincoln or Waco where you have an extremely passionate fan base, and this is the one thing that everyone in your city sort of rallies around. You would think that, that as this gets rolled out and people get comfortable with this, that a lot of businesses say, hey, this is worth trying. This is worth investing our money in players. Now, how do you go about doing that? Is there a way are you going after the starting quarterback and these sort of like top high profile guys, or is it more about supporting the entire, team? I think is the question. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely opportunity when you have a very passionate fan base. And if that fan base understands that NIL can be a competitive advantage or disadvantage, then yeah, I think there's an opportunity for players in these cities to, if they have a good strategy, capitalize.
Max, are there I don't know if a generation is the right term, but a subset of coaches that will not be able to handle this brave new world, and you might see them get out or move on to other things because name, image, likeness might be more than they can wrap their head around?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's a real possibility that there is a generation of coaches, especially like the veteran coaches today, who, their experience in college football has been the same for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they probably find it pretty distasteful what's going on and how much things are changing. Now, I hear that when I talk to coaches individually who sort of rant about this stuff and say, off the record, oh man, if this ever happens, I'm going to get out of here and stuff like that. Will they actually do it? I don't know. I mean, there's not that many jobs in the NFL that you can go get. So I think a lot of coaches, they either need to adjust to the times and figure out how to make their program successful by the new standards and stuff, or move on and let. I do think the way things are going, I think the direction we're pointing in this decade calls for a different type of head coach and one who embraces all of the things that come with the job now, and that I think should probably lead to some coaches if they're against all this, then get out of it.
Max, got Big 12 Media Days coming up next week in Arlington. Is there a particular story, a particular angle that you immediately think of when you think of the Big 12 and the football landscape in 2021?
A good question. Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on which players are going. But, it does seem like to me, when I look at the Big 12 right now, the thing that I'm kind of uncertain about is just kind of the top half of the league and I think Oklahoma has a very, has sort of checks all the boxes of a team that might even be preseason number one. I think that's not totally unreasonable. I think they're a preseason top 14 for sure. I think Iowa State looks like a preseason top 10 team just in terms of having everybody back. To me, the curiosity is what's that next tier of teams in the Big 12. And I think a lot of people tend to just assume that's Texas, and I don't. I think that TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas are all kind of in that same, sort of 8-9 win range. I would think if TCU can bounce back after being kind of average here these past few years. But then who's jumps up and plays with them at that level? I think there's a bunch of teams that have that potential. So I do think that as much as we probably all feel certain about number one and number two in the Big 12, I do think this is a year where it's hard to put your finger on number 3 through number 9, basically, from how it's going to play out.
I agree. I absolutely agree. In fact, I did the poll. We all shared who we voted for and sent that in and all that. I got to tell you, because when I filled out the all Big 12 preseason team on offense and defense, there were a chunk of players from Oklahoma and Iowa State, and there were others as well. But I don't know. I really, really don't know. From, as you mentioned, I said I think maybe 3 to 7, 3 to 8, perhaps 3 to 9. Is it a given that Spencer Rattler, or is it Breece Hall, or could it be the explosive running back from Texas, or who is it going to be, in your opinion, as the favorite, other than the obvious, as Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't filled that out yet. Thanks for reminding me. I need to get on this. But I mean, it was Breece Hall at the end of last year, and it's easy to forget Brock Purdy was actually the All Big 12 quarterback ahead of Rattler in the coaches' vote for all conference. So that is a little curious too. I would think people are going to kind of automatically go with Rattler just because he's kind of being held up right now as a clear like top 3 Heisman kind of guy, maybe even the Heisman front runner. So I would think people will go with Rattler, but yeah, I mean, you can make a case for a few other guys, Bijan Robinson, maybe even Deuce Vaughn. You go through the receiver list, and that's kind of a lot of those guys moved on. So I don't know that it'd be one of them. So yeah, I would think Rattler or Breece Hall probably.
Max, I know this is probably hard to quantify given how bad they've been, but do you think that for at least a little while, given everything that's gone on at Kansas, especially a coaching change late in the year, that they might be a little bit worse even before they get better?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've lost more than 20 scholarship players to the portal this offseason. And you would think in a year like this, when you have a chance to bring super seniors back to your roster, like you would think, oh, wow, this is like the first year where Kansas maybe has a chance to, thanks to this one-time deal, get back to having 85 scholarship players. Well, that's not going to be the case because a ton of their seniors moved on under Les Miles, and then they have a coaching change in the spring. So, it's going to take a step back. Obviously they lose. They lost Puka Williams to the draft, but then they lost some of their best young players. Went in the portal and decided to go elsewhere, and even landed on SEC rosters. Like they had some decent young players there that played a lot last year. It was a very young team last year, and some of those guys moved on. So yeah, it's between the players they've lost and the fact that this staff didn't get to go through spring with these guys. Yeah, I would think it probably sets up for maybe not necessarily 0-12, but certainly kind of a year zero sort of rock bottom kind of year as they really totally rebuild this roster.
Max Olson, TheAthletic.com. Max, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to see you in Arlington.
Yep, I'll see you guys next week.
Can't wait. It's back and we'll be there. Thank you for your time. Max Olson, TheAthletic.com, with us on SicEm365 Radio. As I mentioned, Sam Weber, Director of Brand Marketing, OpenDoors.com at just after 4. Mack Rhoades at 4:20. Craig and Off the Radar. Paul has his top 5 at 5:55, plus David Helman, John McClain, and much more. What do you want to do here, Paul? Take a break here?
I want you to talk for 3.5 more minutes.
It's a lot of pressure.
Of course, Puka Williams went to the Bengals. Like, of all the teams to go to, he went to the Cincinnati Bengals, who don't want to draft you if you don't have something on your arrest record. It seems like. I mean, they do not care.
I don't think it's not like, I don't think it's a prerequisite. I think it's something they just don't look at.
I think it just puts them over the top.
So there are no red flags.
Like, they don't.
I think if 2 guys are even, a guy's got a red flag, they draft the guy with the red flag.
Yeah. Or maybe so. I think it might be just every team has a department of that has a couple guys that know that if you threw an eraser at your 5th grade English teacher, that's going to be in some kind of report somewhere. The Bengals don't even have that guy. They're just like, okay, is he pending trial? No, bring him on. That's all we.
It feels like they've had like a billion Big 12 running backs too. So they just keep drafting them, and none of them work out. And so I don't know what they're doing, quite frankly. Mixon's pretty good, I guess, but they've had Rodney Anderson. That did not work out. But yeah, I completely forgot about Puka Williams even being gone from Kansas. So yeah, I would expect them to be, even worse, because I couldn't name another player on their team right now off the top of my head.
I heard someone make a comment about the Bengals. When Andy Dalton was there, they made the playoffs. They just couldn't win, right?
They never won playoff games.
Yeah,
Marvin Lewis never won playoff games.
It's crazy. He had a good run.
So what's the point? Like, you go there every year just to lose. I mean, it's one of those, would you rather be, that question you always ask, would you rather be average and make the postseason every year, or be above average every single year and make the postseason every year, but you never win it? Or would you rather just win it one time and be terrible the rest of the time? I'd rather win it one time because, Cincinnati, what can they say? Went to the playoffs like 10 years in a row. How many of them did you win? 0. So what does it really matter? It was an extra regular season game, basically.
Paul and Craig, we've had that conversation many times before, and we have some texts that we'll get to here in just a second. TJ's been firing it up as well, along with Daniel and others. But, Yeah, I think you and I would have been swayed differently back in the day because our two favorite college teams, Craig loved, of course, he's his too, Oklahoma, Florida State, Nebraska, good forever. And so in national championships, we're littered in between all that. But now that I've been through a funk of a decade plus, maybe two, man, I wish if you could answer the question, would you rather be good every year but never win the championship? And I mean the big boy. Or would you rather win a national championship every 10 years? But then you just kind of, it's a crapshoot. Which would you like? But you have to stick to it. You can't let how your team fluctuates up and down affect your answer.
If you're a person who likes routine and is content, I mean, look, I have a friend who's a Cowboys fan who, for some reason, is insanely content with how things have been. Oh, he likes winning the division.
Which means nothing. I
mean, but he's fine with it, and that drives me nuts. I think I'd rather. I think I need to, and I'm saying this because I've tasted that champagne. I need the championships. I'll take the drought if I'm gonna get the trophy.
I'm taking a championship 10 times out of 10. I mean, okay. Your team's consistently good every single year. Now, if you're saying they're consistently good and they're winning the conference every year, but they're like Florida State baseball and they just can't win the title, well, then I'm probably taking winning conference every single year and coming up short because that's something. But if you're talking about like every few years you might win the conference or play for it, but you're always like a bowl team, then yeah, give me the championship because nobody remembers half those bowl games anyways. And 7 wins, 8 wins, I mean, that's good every once in a while, but that championship, that's what you recruit off of. That's what you sell. That's what people see when they walk in the field house. They don't see 10 straight 7-win seasons, like they see titles.
Okay. Your favorite team, Florida State, went through a lengthy stretch where they were elite but never could beat Miami or they could win a national title. Then they finally did. Same with mine, but they had won a couple back in the early part of my lifetime, and then they went through God knows how long. Craig, Oklahoma football won in 2000, but now it's 20 years later. They've been knocking on the door. So the last 20 years, if they would have won it, let's say in 09 or 07 or in 14, you would rather have done that and then all the other stuff is hit and miss, or have they given you enough to be satisfied?
I mean, that's a bad example because they win the Big 12 every single year. I mean,
I'm talking
that's what
about
I'm saying.
The national title.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's like, okay, so with your premise, you don't win a title. We know that, right? But are you...
Not many do, by the way.
Right, yeah, I know. But it's okay, if you're winning the conference in football every single year, or you're every once in a while winning the conference, you're always kind of a bowl team. Like, that's the difference to me. Like, the sometimes winning the conference and a bowl team, like, no, give me the title, no doubt about it. With Oklahoma, yeah, now it's like Esther get off the pot. Like, they're due for a title. It's been 20 years since they last won a title. They played for 4 more and won 0 for 4 on them. So I think people are championship hungry right now. But, if that means breaking up where every single year you beat Texas basically and every single year you win the Big 12, I mean, that's
pretty damn fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, that to me is the most extreme example of where it would actually be a hard question. Anywhere else, and I think it's simple.
When we come back, Sam Weber, OpenDoors.com. They have been a front and center. Brand marketing, athletes, student athletes, college athletes. Sam Weber, next on SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McClain County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
He averages 8. He has a nice spinning move right there. Meyer has been terrific with 15 points, 5 of 10.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, thanks to Max Olson, TheAthletic.com. We have gone since Thursday, and well before that, when we discussed the eventuality of NIL, and one place of business that's been ahead of the curve, OpenDoors.com. It's a business that has been, well, very, very successful, and we're joined by Sam Weber. He is the Director of Brand Marketing for OpenDoors.com on SicEm365 Radio with Craig, Paul, and David Smoak. Sam, thanks for your time. Do you feel like you guys are ahead of the curve when all this started?
Well, first of all, guys, it's great to be here. And the short answer is yes. We were launched in 2012 at that time to help professional athletes realize and maximize their endorsement value on social media. So we've been helping professional athletes from, the Patrick Mahomes, Luka Doncic's, across the board, and thousands of them. We've been helping them maximize endorsement value by connecting with brands for endorsement deals since 2012. So, NIL is new to the college game, but professionals have been maximizing their endorsement value through their NIL rights for generations. So we feel like we had an intimate knowledge of the market before it started.
When you start this out with there's so few guidelines for you guys, as far as if there's state laws you have to follow, has it been difficult to navigate for what you can tell people from different places if they're at Florida or if they're at USC or if they're at A&M, different things that they can do? Or have you guys kind of been out in front of grabbing all the different laws in the states and filling the blanks in there?
Sure. There's plenty of due diligence involved. As you know, every state, every school even is different. but I feel like we've been in a good spot, really, through our work with, over 100 athletic departments around the country, to really understand what's important to the individual athletic departments and what those policies look like on the state and school level. So we've been preparing for it, for months and just trying to keep up with the rapidly changing market as it got closer. But yeah, I think the understanding is there today, and I think there's a chance for change at the federal government level that's likely to happen in the coming months as well.
So for those who haven't been keeping track on every piece of NIL and the story and everything that goes into it, tell people about Open Doors and how this is involved with name, image, likeness, and college athletes.
Absolutely. So the short answer is that Open Doors is it's an innovative, compliant option for student athletes to monetize their name, image, and likeness. A really easy way to think about it is Airbnb for athlete endorsement. So it's a marketplace where a brand or fan can log in. When they log in, they're basically sent to a portal where they can browse and book endorsements or NIL activities with about 40,000 athletes, both professional and collegiate now. I guess kind of the benefit of it is that typically an endorsement deal, especially if you look back before technology got involved, it would take months to talk to agents, reps, publicists, lawyers, cousins, sisters, brothers to get an endorsement deal done. And Open Doors is focused on taking that process from months to minutes.
Do you feel like the athletes understand what's going on here? Obviously, they feel and they see now that there's a chance they can earn some money. They have a value and they can get some of it. Is there concerns about the legalities of certain places, certain things they cannot do? Is this the wild, wild west, or do you feel like perhaps this will calm down after we get through the initial weeks?
I think that there's an interesting balance, right? There are the student athletes who've been preparing for this for the last year, who have really, poured energy into understanding what they are allowed to do, what they aren't allowed to do. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the student athlete that woke up July 1st and, had phone calls and DMs on Twitter. And, if he was if you had a profile on Open Doors, you had deal offers to that profile. And didn't know what was allowed, what wasn't. And that's, I think it's the market's responsibility, it's the school's responsibility to provide the education necessary to keep the athletes safe. But at the end of the day, if the athlete's not eligible, then they're not benefiting the way that they should be from this landmark opportunity.
What kind of things do most athletes initially? What kind of endorsements are they getting right now?
Sure, I think the most accessible endorsement in the marketplace right now is the social media endorsement that I'm sure you've seen plenty of. The tweet endorsing a local business, or on a bigger scale, a tweet endorsing a national advertiser like Olson. And they were one of the first to really come through, and they made an offer to every student athlete in the country who was signed up on Open Doors, about a $50 offer that they can eventually earn more from, to just send out a tweet promoting GoPuff as a brand and promoting signups. But yeah, I mean, really all over the board. We've seen offers everywhere from $50 to $5,000, and we expect, I guess, more diversity in the types of deals to come as the market matures a little bit.
I imagine your answer will be similar to what you just said here, but what kind of a return do you suspect, or have you been able to gather that most of these businesses are looking for, if any return at all? I mean, I'm obviously looking for some return when you're spending some money, but is this, I don't know, is it more just these guys and gals are available and there's that local flair and it's just great to sponsor, or there are businesses that really feel like this is going to be business changing for them, if that makes sense?
Right. I think there's definitely a balance of that as well, but at least to start out here, there's so much buzz around it. But the majority of these campaigns that we're seeing from brands, it's like you could almost chalk it up as cause marketing. They want to be the first to support Baylor student athletes. They want to be the first to support the volleyball team at the University of Nebraska, things like that. And I think it kind of makes sense when you look at like sponsorship in college athletics. If you go down to go to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln and look around at all the billboards and all the signage of the dozens of local and regional businesses that sponsor Nebraska athletics, of course those brands want to return on that sponsorship, but they're more than anything, they're paying for that affiliation, that support of Nebraska athletics. They're not necessarily in it to have a hard and fast ROI that they can report back to their CMO or their board, but they want to be a part of the game. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot with NIL here too.
What do companies have to be wary of when they come to that end of, before they get kind of too excited? And some of this is pretty affordable endorsements, but what do they need to be wary of when it comes to being really worth it?
Sure. I think they should be looking at, number one, any offer that they put out there, they should be thinking about that they need to make sure that they're keeping athletes safe. So, of course you want if you're doing an appearance fee, you wish that kid could show up in a polo with the school logo on it, but most policies and state legislations do not currently allow school marks on any endorsement activities. So number one, you should be considering that. Number two, I think a lot of brands go into this thinking they're going to work with one athlete, they're going to send a couple of posts out on social media, and it's going to change their life. I think you should be looking more at the long game. So long-term ambassador-style partnerships, maybe not with one athlete, but with 20. Maybe not with the most expensive athlete on the roster, the Heisman contender quarterback, but maybe, the whole offensive line. I think that scale and that longevity brings a lot more chance of success through the kind of the long road for brands than the one-off big splash will.
Sam Weber is the Director of Brand Marketing for OpenDoors.com. Sam, have you noticed that, or have you been surprised about the amount of interest in non-football athletes? There's some stories where some are doing well. A lot of it's because of their Instagram following or whatever it is, but has it mainly just been football?
It hasn't. So as of today, since July 1st, about 2,100 student athletes have been offered deals through Open Doors. And kind of like you alluded to there, it is not all football athletes. It's all across the board. There's non-revenue sports. There's women's sports. In fact, many of the highest dollar value opportunities have come on the women's sports side. And I think you made a point there because a lot of these athletes are naturally better marketers because they're forced to be, right? They don't get their game on CBS at 5 p.m. Every Saturday. So they're forced or have the opportunity to market themselves and understand how to use the channels at their disposal to really maximize their 4 years or whatever it is in college. And so they become almost like, up until last week, amateur influencers. And that's what's exciting about this. Right now, the athletes that have put in hard work over the last few years are really ready to capitalize on that. And we've absolutely seen that in the market.
Do you feel like there's a possibility that this is just something that's brand new, and so there's this feel-good, touchy-feely thing to it, and then maybe in a month or so it just kind of slows down and eventually just becomes normal?
Yeah, I think it'll ebb and flow, and I think to your point, the brands who want to do it just for the one day of good PR, those will be fewer and further between. That said, I don't think I've seen too many that have been exploited that way. But I think it will go in waves, and you'll see student athletes who are, they make a game winner in the tournament, and the next day they are being flooded with offers. Or you'll see a student athlete that maybe they're supporting a cause on campus that gets national recognition. The next day they're going to have opportunities that maybe they can bring more dollars or more eyeballs to those causes, and then that'll result in a stronger brand for them and more opportunities down the line. So, maybe the big splash of these last few days is, I don't know how much longevity there is in that, but I think the NIL market's here to stay, and you're going to see a lot of student athletes get very real support and in the form of, a serious amount of money.
You were at the Elite or Open Doors. I'm not sure if it was you or who it was. At the Elite 11 quarterback competition, Zach Pyron, the young man from Pinson Valley in Alabama, is committed to Baylor. He made the Elite 11. There were 20 or so quarterbacks. What was the message there? And what was the reaction from what, of course, is an elite or star-studded type position at quarterback?
Right. So I was not able to be on the trip. Our CEO and head of brand marketing was down there. But what I could gather from them is that this is a group of young men who are incredibly prepared and understand the opportunity that is going to be available to them in a few short months. They're obviously at a competition, and we're very focused on that. But I guess the message to them is we were offering curriculum, essentially helping to teach them how to build, protect, and understand the power of their personal brands and what the value is going to be for them at the next level. So they understand what their value is. They can maximize that and ultimately protect it, stay eligible, and to make the most of their opportunity. There's a group of kids that's excited about what's next and excited about the legislation that is coming through, and I think they're going to be in as good a position as anyone to monetize that.
Sam, thank you very much for your time. I love what you guys are doing. It's a massive undertaking. If you go to opendoors.com and you click on all the various links, and it will take you to information and get yourself basically like it's those job search places in a way, in the case of NIL for student athletes. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, that's good. It's your personal listing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to rent your house, you list it on Airbnb. If you want to get an endorsement, you list your profile on Open Doors.
Thank you for your time, Sam Weber, Director of Brand Marketing for OpenDoors.com, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. He's now been involved, of course, with NIL. We've discussed this with him for a long, long time, but now they're 3 or 4 or 5 days into it. What has he seen so far? And this is SicEm365 Radio. I was at Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans earlier today. Cheyenne and Ashley were there, went in and told them that there is a couple of different cigars now that I've smoked before, but I really enjoyed when playing around at golf over the weekend. One was, both of them torpedo end. It's a torpedo style. One was La Fontana, the other one Rocky Patel, which my older brother Robert taught me or kind of showed to me, and walked in the door and had a good discussion about what they did over the weekend and also their sales during 4th of July and even right now this summer with family reunions and so much more and vacations. And they say it's just been fantastic. And then also the part with VitaDreams, CBD products that allows you to take or bite maybe a third or a half or an entire gummy. It allows you to relax, a CBD product, and go to sleep quicker, faster, and also if you fall asleep 30 minutes or even 20 minutes before you normally would from tossing and turning, and then you wake up, you don't have to hit the snooze, although maybe you want to do that as well, but you get that extra 30 or 45 minutes of sleep because you fall asleep sooner, faster, and more relaxed. It's Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans. Tell Carol, Ashley, and also Cheyenne, Smokey sent you, in the Townway Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
We'll hear from Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, here momentarily. SicEm365 Radio. Greg's Off the Radar comes up at the other side of this hour, and then a couple of NFL writers and David Helman, columnist David Helman and John McClain at 5:35 and 5:35 as well. I thought it's interesting, this open doors, and how it ends up being something that is big now because it's new, anything that's new. And then all of a sudden the shininess goes away. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be at least several months, if not whatever. But you think
I think what?
Is it going to just die down, or do you feel like it's only a big deal now because it's something that's never been there before?
I think it's a big deal now because it's brand new. I think it's already started to die down, but I also know that we're in the middle of the summer, so there's no real reason for it to ramp up other than it being a starting point. I think we'll know a lot more in about a month and a half when football season starts, and if some guy gets on a Heisman run, do sponsorships stack up for that kid or that young man or young woman? That's what I think we'll learn a lot more. So, yeah, very interesting.
We're now joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. This is day, I think, 5 or 6 of the national or name, image, and likeness. Mack, thanks for your time. Hope you had a great 4th of July weekend and got a little bit of some decompression downtime. What are your early impressions on NIL?
Yeah, pretty calm, for the most part, nothing that really maybe surprised me, other than, I'm sure you've talked about it already, the, University of Miami football and that, that arrangement, that contract, that relationship with
the MMA training academies and, this, $500 a month contract, up to $6,000 a year for every, football player. And, just had some early conversation with some of my colleagues in the business. And, that one feels almost straight pay for play.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're offering it across the board to every single member of the team, so I will say, at least amongst the group that I visit with, there's some uncomfortableness there, and you speak to, I think that's an example of maybe uneven playing field, and that's strictly for recruiting purposes, obviously. And again, not being critical of it, they are within the rules doing it, but I think there's some uncomfortableness there, and I think that's why at some point in time here in the near future we've got to get to a place where we've got consistent rule, right, and application of rule across the industry. So, and that's probably not going to happen without federal legislation.
Is this kind of the issue that's maybe shown how hard it is to get things through all the member institutions when you have 300 plus member institutions that all have to come to an agreement on this? Is this really why it's stalled, that there's just too many people that have to agree to a plan for NIL for it to work?
No, because I don't think everybody needs to agree to it. I think there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to it, Paul. I think it's a really good question. So I didn't mean to insinuate otherwise, but it is a really good question. But the NCAA has the ability in terms of name, image, and likeness legislation to the D1 Council and the Board of Governors have the ability to implement across the board. I think given just where we are in terms of lawsuits and antitrust, I think there's a lot of carefulness in terms of what to implement, how far to implement, and I think that's why the NCAA I believe is hoping and I think we're all needing some sensible, federal name, image, and likeness legislation that governs us all.
Mack,
and
sorry, go ahead.
Keyword is sensible.
Sensible, yep. Mack, what have you been able to gather? I don't know, who all's around right now and all of that. It's the middle of the summer, but, what kind of feedback have you received from the student athletes just as far as them now having this opportunity? Is there an excitement there? Is it the unknown make it even more exciting? How have you kind of gauged the feedback?
Yeah, Craig, I think I was listening to the conversation that you guys were finishing before you brought me on, and a little bit hard to gauge because of summer, but there was a session with our student athletes, and I think there's I think with at least our student athletes, I think there's a sense of gratefulness and appreciation for the way we're handling it and the thoughtfulness, and I do think there's some excitement to it as well. So our coaches have been terrific, our student athletes have been terrific, and as we get out of maybe summer break, and as you think about maybe right around the 1st of August, I'll be interested to see just kind of where we are, and both as an industry and here at Baylor. But so far for us, I think we're in a good place, and I think our coaches and student athletes are in a good place.
We had you on last week, and then we also were a part of a media Zoom session with Chad Jackson and Jovan Overshone about NIL. And then I kind of saw some of the reaction. Of course, message boards, you got to be careful because it can get a little bit nuts in there. But it was almost as if some thought that you guys weren't prepared for that. That's not the case. That's not what you said to us last week, was it?
No, I mean, we've been talking about this for months and months, and I think we've been extremely prepared. And, I think what's maybe a little bit different is, some of the stuff that schools are announcing that they're doing and some of the education behind it. I'll give you, for example, the whole financial education. Those are things that we've already been doing, and we've been doing that under the guise of, our Baylor Built program. And, now there's some name, image, and likeness additions to it. So Baylor Built Plus, we've changed the name as we've talked to. And so, I can, absolutely say that with 100% confidence that that is not the case. I think we're 100% prepared and have been, and we know philosophically, and we've talked about it on this show, philosophically how we're going to handle it, how we're going to manage it. I think we're on the same page in terms of coaches, administration. So I feel great about where we are and that we're in a great place. And for those that are saying that, they quite frankly have no idea.
Will it be harder for coaches or administrators to wrap their arms around this because of the way, especially with coaches, are all about routine and the way things have always kind of worked for them? It might be hard for a certain generation of coaches to really grasp this, won't it?
Yeah, that's Paul, it's a great question because, we had a working group and it speaks to the preparation, right? So we've had this name, image, and likeness working group. And just within the working group, there's been different dynamics. We have, people on that working group that, I'm going to say, mid-20s, late 20s, right, that see it and grasp it differently and probably from a perspective of look at all of the great possibilities, opportunities, whereas, some others didn't necessarily, see it or grasp it that way. And so I thought that was a really interesting dynamic. And so it plays along a little bit what you're asking, when you're talking about, administrators versus coaches. I think, for coaches, and if you're in their shoes, right, at least if I'm a coach, I just, without compromising values, I just don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage. And so I think that's where their minds are from that recruiting perspective, et cetera. I just, again, want to have a fair chance, again, without compromising values and doing it within our philosophy. And again, our head coaches have been unbelievable, right? This idea when you use the word brand and Baylor being the overarching, the predominant brand, but still finding ways for individual student athletes to grow their brand and to maximize it within the Baylor brand. And so again, I speak to I think we're in a good place, and this is going to evolve, no doubt. It's going to evolve. I think it's at some point in time it's going to jump out really, really strong, and then probably retract and correct itself, so to speak.
So when you were having conversations with those in your business about Miami, was there like, well, that just can't happen? I mean, yet again, what they're doing based on their state, it can, because Chad Jackson kind of made it clear that if it doesn't come from the school itself, then it's kind of I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's kind of open season, right?
Yeah. Yep. If the institution isn't involved in orchestrating and it's we're not pushing, we're not at the center of it, then yeah. And so again, not being critical of it's a great program, great history, great athletics program, all of those things. But that was the conversation, just being candid with you that, man, that one just feels like, and maybe, well, Mac, what would make it feel different maybe? And I think, well, maybe, yeah, there's probably, a handful of football student athletes, on the Miami team, or maybe even more than that, right? Because it is a great program. They've got a great team, but that endorsing, those training facilities on their social media accounts is really helpful and beneficial, to those training facilities, et cetera, right? But when it's across the board and it's all 85, and I think it's really 90 this year because of the super seniors, then that just feels a little different. But again, right now, within the rules.
Mac, is it something else just to keep you up at night?
No, not really. To be honest with you, I'm comfortable where we are and how we're doing it, and I think when you combine this with everything else that we're dealing with, maybe that keeps you up at night a little bit. The Olson case and all of the other different COVID and still trying to navigate that, the Delta variant. What happened in Omaha with NC State, and so there's probably 6 or 7 things that when you combine them all together, they keep you up a little bit later than what you'd like.
Were you surprised at all that Matthew Meyer was the first student athlete at Baylor who had somebody contact him?
No, I was not.
No, we weren't either.
No.
And I say that very complimentary to Matthew. So,
Mac, and next week in Arlington will be Big 12 Media Days. Bunch of people all under one roof. Are you looking forward to that? And Dave Aranda, I guess, kind of his first. You didn't get to do this last year, obviously, but Dave Aranda getting to talk a little bit and present the program.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Football Media Days. It signifies, I think, to all of us. It's just right around the corner, and conversations begin ramping up, and you look for the beginning of, or to the start of the fall camp. And so excited about that. I'm excited for Coach and to be able to experience that for the first time, and the young men that will also be present. And again, we were on a call today just talking about how we were going to navigate it with COVID. And those that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and masks, no masks, and all of that stuff. So that's still prevalent in our world, and will be as we continue to work through the summer. But excited for Football Media Day, excited for Coach, for our staff, and can't wait for practice to begin.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. A lot of players in this day and age, where now there's the stipend, there's now the NIL, there are the cost of education, there's the travel, there's the swag, the jerseys, all the things that now student athletes get. And I'm not arguing against any of it. What are your thoughts about that? Is team issued equipment and or, I guess, merchandise, correct? What are your thoughts then about them when they get that, turning around and making a profit off of it themselves?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, candidly, I have some reservations about it. And I think that I think it's hard to have the conversation because I do think that there's potentially some circumstances where it makes sense and some where it probably gives me some heartburn. So and that's going to continue to be a topic of conversation. And again, for me, it's I just go back to Smoak, this idea of, again, I think it's important for our young people to thoughtfully, carefully navigate their brand and their name, who they are as a person, who they are as a student athlete. And so I'm all for that. And if they can make $1 or $2 along the way, again, I support that. Where I struggle is if that becomes now bigger than the university,
Mm-hmm.
bigger than that's where I struggle, and that's what we're trying to navigate. Obviously, the level playing field, recruiting, the guardrails, all of those things are really, really important. But philosophically, that's where we're gonna continue to try to monitor and make sure we've got a great balance. And again, our student athletes have been terrific, and so have our coaches.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate your time. As always, Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor University, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Craig, I was able to get that last one in. I'd written it down about the selling of jerseys.
Well, it sounds like he's with me on this.
Yeah.
As far as, I know what you guys were saying, and I understand they go and sweat in those jerseys and all that, but if it's part of the scholarship to begin with, and those uniforms are then being worn by somebody who turns around after not paying for the uniform, it was given to him as part of all the other thousands of dollars of things that they get, and then they turn around and sell it for thousands of dollars, I have a problem with that. Like, I understand why that shouldn't be a big deal, and it's not something I'm getting hung up on, but it just seems kind of dirty, like that it's give, and this stuff that you're taking, you're then selling around and making a profit off of it. That doesn't sit well with me for some reason, to see a guy selling his Baylor basketball jersey for $400, I don't know why that irks me, and my reaction to this is far more extreme than my actual feelings on it, because do it, don't do it. I just find it to be a bit strange and a bit of, like, how much before you actually, like, say, no, you can't actually do that now. Like, when do we get to the point of where, no, that's not actually acceptable? Like, sell this, sell that, sell this, all this stuff you got for free, mind you, so then you turn another profit. Like, that's what bothers me, is it's free, and then you sell it for $500. And, okay, you sweated in it, but I don't know. I just don't see the return on investment for a lot of the investments the schools are making. Like, all this money's being spent, all this stuff's, going on, and yeah, your basketball national title clears the books for a lot of the other stuff, but that's not most schools. And all I see is give, and there's never any real take, except for time to go to class and go to practice. And then we hear the time part, the one thing that they ask, the time part is somehow more valuable than all the other stuff that they get in the minds of the people who think that they should just get everything with no repercussions whatsoever. Like,
remember we had the conversation. We got a break so you can get.
Like, there's just no rules.
Remember the conversation we had earlier in the show about mental health and how important it is to watch it, to understand it, to notice it, all that, and how it was like here forever, and now because Naomi, Osaka, it's like the pendulum swings. It's the same thing with this. It's like they were getting nothing, although they were. And now they're getting everything. Well, and I say they, and I don't fault them, because if it's there, have it. If it was something we had available to us more and more and more, we would too. We wouldn't say no, but it does seem like it's gone from here 0 to 1 or whatever the number would be.
Yeah, and I think, just to put it simply, like, look, okay, The schools don't want to pay them cash into salary. Good. They shouldn't have to because, like Craig said, they give. Stuff costs money. It doesn't just, materialize. But they shouldn't be allowed to stop them from making money in other avenues, which now they can't. So it's even. But I do agree with you, Craig. It does feel weird to me, like just in a business sense, if I gave you a helmet and a jersey and all this stuff that you could use, even if I wasn't going to take it back and I was going to let you keep it, if I gave it to you and you told me you were going to sell it, I'd at least want you to kick upstairs a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Like, if you're going to sell it for $10,000, I at least want $1,000.
Yeah.
Like, give me $1,000.
But if you give somebody something, they don't owe you anything.
No, but it just,
I get it, though. The perception of what it looks like, or maybe not even perception.
Yeah, it just feels kind of icky to get all this free stuff and then turn around and sell it for hundreds or thousands of dollars later on when you're already getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for free anyways.
Especially if you're still at school. If you're not, if you're Maceo Teague and you're gone, sell it. You don't want
whatever
it.
you want. It's yours. Yeah.
But you're like, if you're still going to come back and then get more stuff, if you're going to go back to the free well, to me, it's
all right. I can't believe I'm the one that is saying this. A great discussion, though. It's great opinions as well. 254-339-1122. Mike and TJ, I know I've said this. The text line's blowing up. We'll get to you as well. David, Helman, John McClain, but Craig's off the radar. Next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a lot of great deals going on right now over at Richard Carr. Travel's back, and so are the savings. Get back on the road with space, safety, and luxury with a Buick. Right now, qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months on most 2021 Buick SUVs. Richard Carr also has a bevy of premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of those pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during the summer savings event. Multiple cars and trucks priced to get you back on the road this summer, and each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. With dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. And Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership. Give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive, check out all these great deals, or as always, let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McClain County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
Welcome into Off the Radar every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:45, taking a look at some stories that otherwise we might not really make mention of or talk about much, but they are stories around the world of sports and of interest to some. How much have y'all read about this ESPN anchor drama?
Whoa, my.
Jeez Louise. ESPN has announced that Malika Andrews is going to replace Rachel Nichols at the NBA Finals. She will work, Malika Andrews, the sidelines for the upcoming finals. They also announced that Andrews would replace Nichols, or they announced that, but this all follows a leaked video, which apparently, because I was trying to figure out how it got leaked, apparently, like, her phone connected with, like, the studio or something, and so it aired in the studio is apparently how this, because otherwise I was thinking, well, the person she was having a conversation with just put it out there, what a jerk. But no, I think it actually was like a connection thing. But basically what it was she was on a leaked video, and she was talking about Maria Taylor, who is in the midst of a contract negotiation with ESPN. That's a whole nother piece of drama they got going on right now. But Rachel Nichols was basically saying that they're giving Maria Taylor all these different assignments, but she wants the NBA Finals are her thing, and she was upset that they were kind of pushing Maria Taylor, and she even made a crack about them trying to make up for their decades of a lack of diversity by trying to basically do everything right now with Maria Taylor. So she's been called a racist, and people are upset at her because, you know, she was saying unflattering things about Taylor, even though it's not really about Taylor. But basically, this video comes out. Feathers are ruffled at ESPN. Nichols has apparently reached out to Maria Taylor about these comments to no avail, but she is off the sidelines, and she has been replaced for the NBA Finals by Malika Andrews. So we'll see where this goes from here. But, I would imagine one, if not both, might be gone from ESPN soon because of Taylor's contract.
No, Taylor won't be gone.
If they don't want to pay her $9 million a year, she'll be gone.
No, yeah, and she's, they have Stephen A. Smith money and then everybody else.
But the thing at ESPN,
do they have to keep her now?
Well, here, I don't know. I mean, maybe this might be part of all that. But Maria Taylor was offered $8 million, bet on herself, and then COVID happened, and they came back with $3 million. So now she's, I think, asked for $9 million, and they said, "Well, how about $3 million?" So this could all be part of this, where they are painted into a corner of keeping her. But again, they don't have to. And ESPN has fired so many people or let go and not renewed contracts. Why would they be
painted in their corner? Because this then becomes, you don't want to keep her because she's not worth $9 million. Of course, she's worth whatever they want to pay.
Live by that sword, ESPN. Die by that sword, ESPN. Yeah. I mean, you're the one that helped, as much as any other media outlet that's not a broadcast news company, you helped fuel the dissension and the stuff that we're all talking about on a daily basis now. And they were doing so in a very I think at times harmful way, intentionally, and it blew up in their face. And so now, maybe they have kind of painted themselves in this corner, but Maria Taylor, her contract's up later, I think this month, right? At the end of the month. So we'll see if she gets the big payday, especially after this. But Rachel Nichols is still doing The Jump, the NBA show, and apparently had an apology at the beginning of it, apologizing to Maria Taylor and all this stuff.
Very awkward. It was very awkward. And then they made Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson. And Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins kind of defended Rachel Nichols, not for what she said, but how she's been with him. And then, Richard Jefferson was like, we're not done talking about this. Like, what the hell? Like, God.
Yeah,
apparently, go ahead.
Sorry, apparently Nichols' camera, it actually automatically would upload all of its recordings to a cloud that ESPN had access to, and someone at ESPN took their phone and actually recorded that and leaked it.
Okay,
so someone else is probably losing their job.
Yeah, I would think so.
And
that's
I know we got more to get to, and then also, but I brought this up, Paul. Is this not a lawsuit waiting to happen for Rachel Nichols' privacy?
It is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's in a hotel in the bubble, which is owned by
Disney.
Who owns?
The ESPN.
And there's a video or camera, which they all know is there, but at the same time, that's private information. All of a sudden,
I would think so. I mean, and thank you for explaining that, Jack. That's kind of what I had said, but that was how it actually. So, there was a punk involved in this situation who's like, let me go record this and get this out there. And they've now created this whole disturbance. But, no response from Maria Taylor. So, anchor drama. Meanwhile, tonight, it will be game 1 of the finals. Milwaukee and the Phoenix Suns starting the series off.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
One of my big
I just hate that Giannis is hurt. And,
Well, he is going to be a game-time decision. I was going to get to that. He is, not a for sure thing to play, but questionable is an upgrade that they have given him. So we'll see tonight.
Better than it was yesterday.
But, Paul, you were saying you're excited about this series.
I am excited about it. Look, one of the things we got tired of was it's always LeBron and it's always the Warriors, or it's always, and then LeBron goes to the West Coast, the Warriors suffer innumerable injuries, and their whole thing is, but it's still LeBron, and then it got so and again, nothing against him as a basketball player, he's one of the greatest ever, but I
love Tombstone, and I've watched it. I've literally watched it 100 times. But there are times where I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean?
Look, sometimes you want to watch 310 to Yuma. It's a different Western. It's the same thing, but it's different. And I like this. I like, especially for the cities of Milwaukee and Phoenix, who have not gotten to experience this particular thing in a very long time, especially for Milwaukee. Phoenix. In Milwaukee, not in most of their fans' lifetime, and in Phoenix, not in about half their fans' lifetime because of 1993.
It used to drive me nuts when I would see, and this is back when Dallas had their dynasty. That drives me nuts because as a Washington fan, obviously, but they were amazing. We covered the hell out of them, still do. But it always bothered me when I heard, well, this isn't good for the NFL, or you hear that crap about the Big 12's not as good.
We need the Knicks to be good. We need the Yankees to be good.
It's championships. It's if you earn that right. And Phoenix had to deal with injuries with Chris Paul along the way, and they got here.
Well, if he wins a title without doing this whole super team thing, then, he's already a Hall of Famer, but Chris Paul will go to an elevated status as a result of not doing it the way that everybody else has done it.
And maybe it'll make people draft better.
Yeah, maybe,
absolutely, yeah.
So that is tonight.
So you have two superstars, Paul and Giannis, who are trying to win their first ring,
and who are both hurt.
And both of them are kind of.
We don't know if Giannis will even play tonight.
Okay.
That is what it is. But that is all getting underway tonight, as I made mention of. Also, 1 week from tonight, it will be the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and MLB All-Star Game is not something that I'm super excited about, but hey, there are going to be some Rangers that are involved, which is going to be cool, and definitely a couple more than I actually expected to be involved. But how about the fact that Shohei Ohtani is the first player ever to be named an All-Star as both a regular fielder as well as a pitcher? He is the double trouble. He is the double All-Star, and he is the first to ever do that. What do you guys think?
I think it's great.
I love it.
I had a question about that, though, didn't I?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to, you have a good point about how do you work the lineup or whatever.
If he's taken out as a hitter, DH or what, and then he hasn't pitched.
Well, they'll do the same thing that the Angels do when he pitches every night.
He is going to hit and pitch in the game. They've already said that.
I know, but... Yeah, I know, but let's say as a position player, he's in the lineup for 5 innings, and maybe he doesn't leave because he's such a new star and it'd be good for baseball. But he sits someone takes his place in the 6th inning, and he's on the bench for an inning, can he come back in and pitch?
No, they'll have to do it beforehand because that's what the Angels do this every night. Okay. So I'm sure every night. I mean, every time he pitches. So they've navigated it.
Yeah, and Joe Madden said that they'll even talk to baseball to try to see how they could potentially tweak the rules to see if they can figure out a way to do it, which I think makes sense. It's an exhibition game, and this is the first time ever, so
it doesn't count for home field advantage anymore.
Yeah,
it's a true exhibition game.
Yeah,
the only reason it ever counted for home field advantage is because they wrecked the whole we ran out of pitchers thing so bad they felt they had to
cost the Rangers the World Series.
Yeah. Well, a sad story. I'll end on a brighter note, but the hockey passing this past weekend, man, if you're around fireworks, be careful. A 24-year-old NHL player, Matisse Kivlienieks, passed away this past weekend. He's a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was a goaltender, 24 years old, died of chest trauma after being struck by a fireworks mortar blast while celebrating at a Michigan home. And they've got the 911 call, and they apparently had arrived less than 5 minutes after the call. But while it only looked like he had a minor injury, there was just, I guess, too much internal damage as a result of that. And always hear at least one sad story around July 4th. There was who blew his fingers off a few years ago,
Jason
Pierre-Paul, yeah. But, lucky for him, he survived. So that was just a sad story. Be careful of fireworks out there, people. And one more note, Pro Football Focus came out with their top 50 players for college football this year. And Raleigh Tejada is number 46 out of 50 on the Pro Football Focus college football top 50 for this upcoming season. So I had him actually on my all Big 12 team, and then I overthought it, and I ended up putting Christian Morgan in there as a safety, but I actually had Raleigh as a corner, first team all Big 12, and I changed it because I'm stupid, but this vindicates me a little bit.
I'm not surprised that Raleigh is on there. I'm a little surprised that Terrell Bernard is not, given his production when he's been in.
I agree. And I also saw some comments over the weekend about NLI, and I saw one Texas fan who's just your typical D-bag Texas fan, and he's like, I wouldn't want to go, if you're a stud linebacker or wide receiver, why would you go to Baylor? They don't have anybody. I'm like, Terrell Bernard, he totally blanked on Terrell Bernard. So, I think Terrell Bernard's going to definitely open up some eyes, and then maybe they just forgot about him because they only played half of a year. But that was good for Raleigh Tejada, a guy who does not get a lot of attention. Actually got a little bit of attention as a top 50 player, number 46 entering the Big 12 next year. And those are a few things that are off the radar.
Appreciate that, and I took a couple of them off your list. Sorry about that from earlier today. I have a baseball note, then a break. Paul Fernando Tatis Jr., pretty good.
He's a badass.
68 games. He has 27 home runs this season. Name the only player age 22 or younger with at least that many home runs in a 68-game span.
Babe Ruth.
No, but same team.
Lou Gehrig.
No, but same
Maris.
franchise.
Mantle.
No.
Maris. Well, he wasn't that young.
No.
DiMaggio.
Yes.
Oh, I should have gone to Italian first.
1937, he had 27 home runs in 68 games. 1937.
By the way, congratulations to Italy. Won on PKs today.
Fernando Tatis is a freaking stud, man. He is.
And he's a pretty good defensive player that gets overlooked because he's a power hitter.
He's fantastic.
He's an amazing baseball player.
I love
he
it.
really is.
Yeah, I wish mediocre players from my favorite team would have kids that are way better than them.
Hey, I know we got to go, but honest to God, if baseball doesn't take advantage of having Tatis and Acuna and some of these cats they've got right now, it's one thing. I understand if it was lily white guys and you're not going to really pull in a lot of eyeballs, but we're talking about the Asian market, the African American market, the Latin American market. They've got it all right now, and they need to somehow take advantage. And instead, they're talking about the freaking baseballs that are being used and the substances, and it's just man. It would be so baseball to miss the opportunity to have these guys kind of trumpet in the new era and get people excited because they are exciting to watch.
And TJ's got so many more I need to read, but TJ, I find it hilarious the Angels have two of the best players in baseball, and they are still terrible in Mike Trout and Ohtani.
They got three if you count both of Ohtani's.
When we come back, it's David Helman on the Cowboys at training camp is this month, and also then John McClain and Paul's Top 5 at 5:55 at SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Helman of DallasCowboys.com.
Over 900 yards of offense as Dalton gets it into the hands of C.D. Lamb. And he takes it in for another Cowboys touchdown. And an exclamation point here in Week 16.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, David Helman, DallasCowboys.com. Cowboys training camp starts this month. It's no longer later on or in 3 months or next month. It's just this month. David, I got a question, though. It's completely off the radar from you, and that's the name of a segment Craig does. How was the slip and slide this weekend?
Oh, it was absolutely phenomenal. It was a welcome reprieve from the summer heat. Ironically, it was supposed to be a pool party, but the pool got delayed by the amount of rain we've had up here this spring and summer. So it was the next best thing, and it was fun. It was a good time, especially have a couple beers, and it sounds even more fun. And it was a good time.
So what was it like to be on something that people think is only for kids, but the parents or the adults were having the most fun?
Oh yeah, I mean there wasn't a single kid at the entire party. It was all adults.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that put it in was joking like, "Oh, your kids are gonna have a blast," and we were like, "Yes, kids, yes, they will definitely, they will definitely have a blast." Yeah, like I said, I mean, it would probably be more fun to have a swimming pool, but you got to make do in desperate times, and I thought we did a good job of that.
Yeah.
Good, it was a good showing of being adaptable.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be like, yeah, they'll be here soon. Later, the kids, not just us.
Yeah, kids will be here soon.
All right, the question du jour today on the website was the emerging superstar. You picked Neville Gallimore. Do you really feel like he is on the up based on first couple games last year? He looked very much like a rookie, but really kind of steadied off towards the end of the year and looked like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by his trajectory because I mean he couldn't really even get on the field for the first half of last season, but he finally got a shot around mid-season, and I mean he didn't just play; he looked pretty darn good. He was disruptive. He looked strong. He made some real highlight plays over the course of November and December, and he's had a full off season. He hasn't had to deal with any injuries or anything like that. And again, this is a position that's so wide open. There really isn't an entrenched starter or somebody that he has to beat. I think one of the starting jobs is there for him if he shows up to camp, and it seems like he's done all the right work. So maybe part of it is just me really wanting the Cowboys to find a dominant defensive tackle because Lord knows it's been a long time since they've had one. But I'm awfully optimistic about the trajectory that he's been on since the second half of last year.
David, not only is it going to be cool for everything to just kind of open up and, camp in California later on this month, but we know Hard Knocks is going to be a part of the party as well. They are certainly no stranger to covering the Cowboys, but, given the year, given all the storylines, given everything opening back up, what do you think about Hard Knocks joining the mix in California?
I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys, so I don't think it's going to be too different, to be honest with you. I mean, this team brings the spotlight with it everywhere it goes. I think I said when the news came down, I was like, well, I mean, and I think we've talked about it before, like Dallas Cowboys are never going to sneak up on anyone. It's just not possible. And so you might as well just embrace the spotlight. There's obviously a lot of really good storylines on this team. I think it should make for some really good TV. If I had to guess, it's going to mean a little bit of extra work for me and everybody else that covers them. But, I mean, what else is new? That's kind of par for the course as well. So I think it should be fun.
Of the players the Cowboys have on their roster, the ones that have been starters, the ones that we know about, who is, in your opinion, in the discussion of being the best at the position in Cowboys history?
Across any position?
Yep.
I mean, the guy that comes to mind for me right away is probably Larry Allen. Obviously, he gets a ton of credit. He's in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to go as far as to say that he's underrated, but, I think you could make the case that he's the best guard to ever play professional football. And I think he gets forgotten about in that, with all of the great players that have come through the Cowboys doors. I understand it, but I don't know if he always gets his just due. For my money, I probably wouldn't say Emmitt Smith is the best running back of all time. I think I'd probably go Barry Sanders, but I think you have to put Emmitt Smith in that conversation. Best quarterback ever? No, but I think you got to mention Roger Staubach, not just for on the field play, but just his impact. And I mean, when you talk about guys that are iconic in terms of the legacy of the NFL, I think he's very close to the top of the list. So that's three that come to mind right off the bat.
All right, let me ask you this. On the players who are currently on the team, is Tyron Smith the only one? Or, well, I forgot. Of course, Zach Martin. How do you forget him? The best in Cowboys history of the position they play? Because tackle and guard, there's great competition over the years, but would those be the ones in the conversation?
Yeah, right now. I mean, I think Tyron and Zach are probably the only guys on this roster that currently have a shot at the Hall of Fame. You know, you don't want to write the book on Dak or Zeke too quickly. So, you know, maybe revisit that in a few years. But right now, I think Tyron and Zach are the only guys on this roster with a shot at the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, and, you know, if Zach Martin plays another 5 to 10 years and keeps going to all-pro teams and things like that, I think he'll have a very good case. And, yeah, I mean, Tyron Smith is already in some pretty elite company with 7 Pro Bowl appearances and 3 or 4 All-Pro nominations. So if he can stay healthy for at least a few more years, yeah, I absolutely think he would be able to make that case by the time he's ready to retire.
Have their offseason signings along the offensive line pushed Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele down to the place where, and I'm not trying to knock them, but where they probably should be on the roster at this point in their career, in that they're playing when it's a dire emergency and not week 1?
I really hope so. I mean, that's what it looks like right now, but we learned last year, you never know for sure. If I had to bet, I think Brandon Knight's going to be at guard for the outset of training camp at the very least, which is a good thing because that means your tackle depth is good, right? So, you know, that's kind of encouraging. But again, you know, this time last year, I had no reason to believe Tyron Smith or Lyle Collins wouldn't be available for the start of training camp and the start of the season. So we'll see how it plays out. But, yeah, right now, I mean, you got Tyron and Lyle looking healthy, looking ready. They obviously spent a pretty high draft pick on Josh Ball. I do wonder, you know, not to dog Ty and Secchi, you know, I haven't seen enough of him to know how good or bad he is. But just when you play that number game of, okay, this guy's on a 1-year deal for not a lot of money. You know, we know the Cowboys are trying to shed salary where they can. Maybe that's a spot where you can get away with getting rid of a veteran if one of your young guys outplays him. But that's something that we'll have to see as training camp goes along. But right now, yeah, I mean, the tackle depth looks fantastic in July. We'll see how long that stays the case once they start playing.
David, obviously the expectations because of who they are always high and probably sometimes higher than they need to be, but at times they're also legitimate because of the players they have. If, in fact, things get off to a rocky start, if they get off to a bad start, who on the staff, if, in fact, Mike McCarthy doesn't survive, is the next man up?
I've heard a lot of people say Dan Quinn, which makes sense because he is, you know, he's been a head coach. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's done this. He's done that. He's a longtime veteran. This is just me, and nobody has told me this. But if that were to happen, you know, if for some reason Mike McCarthy is gone with a sizable chunk of the season left to play, I would make Kellen Moore the interim head coach. It's very eerily similar to the way that Jason Garrett got his start. You know, it sounds weird to say right now, but Jason Garrett was one of the hot commodity coordinators in the NFL for a stretch there. You know, the Baltimore Ravens tried to hire him away and the Cowboys kept him. And, you know, he was the guy. He was the offensive mastermind. And he wound up being the interim head coach and going 5-3 and getting the full-time job because of it. I think Kellen Moore's he's a rising star. The Cowboys, you know, managed to keep him here instead of going back to his alma mater, Boise State, last December. And this will be his 3rd year as the offensive coordinator. And, you know, he's had a great offense in 2019 and managed to hold things together pretty well considering the amount of injuries they had to deal with last year. So if you're in a situation like that, I'd rather give the young guy a shot and see if he's got what it takes to be an NFL head coach as opposed to just promote a guy who's been there and done that. So that's what I would do. I can't speak for Jerry Jones, but I would be intrigued to see if the hotshot coordinator is really fit for the job.
David, I keep thinking about this when it comes to when people ask about Mike McCarthy, and of course you got to give him more than just last year, but one of the things, you know, he had a couple of times in press conferences where he clearly didn't quite grasp that, like, Dallas is different. Like when he mentioned, like, moving Zach Martin to tackle his fantasy football stuff when, you know, Larry Allen, who we talked about, did that very thing when needed and played out at tackle or moved from tackle to guard. And I remember something that Randall Cobb said, like the first day he was there for minicamp, where he said, with all the people around his locker, he's like, well, this is this is like a Sunday after a playoff game in Green Bay with this many people. Do you think Mike McCarthy might be better suited for that this year, knowing that while the Packers is a high-profile job, nothing compares to the, a Tuesday around the locker at the Cowboys when you're from Green Bay?
It's a really good question. And my immediate thought is he has had a year to get used to this. And so maybe, I agree with you for the most part. I think there's going to be a level of culture shock with the Cowboys no matter where you come from, because I just don't know. I don't know how many stages in football compare to that. Like you said, even the Packers, I don't think it's quite the same. But then at the same time, last year was a weird year. It was COVID. Mike did all of his press conferences on a video monitor without anybody in the room, and the post-game press conferences were all on the phone, where you're not facing 800 cameras. So I think it's fair to say he still hasn't seen the full brunt of what's waiting for him during the course of a more normal year. Now, obviously, I don't think anybody 100% knows what media is going to look like this season. Obviously, we're trending back toward being normal, but I doubt it's going to be all the way normal. So I'll be curious to see how much of that he sees in his second year. If I had to guess, it's still going to be a little bit unusual.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your time. Yep. David Helman, DallasCowboys.com with us. Cowboys training camp, they fly in, arrive like July 20th. They'll start right up the top. And Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, about an hour or so plus north of L.A. on the coast in California.
Yeah, and I need to, if we ever go out there again, I need to do some proper research on some sightseeing. The last time we went, one former coworker of ours, WW, he and I have, I guess, some kinship as far as being true crime fans. And we went and drove by. I discovered that like a famous murder had occurred at some house not far from Oxnard. And I can't remember which one it was now. It was a major one, though. And he and I drove by there, and we were with this one.
We were going to the airport.
Yeah.
Well, you told us about, we went by the Manson Ranch or
that we passed by on the way to the airport, and that I would have definitely loved to because I kind of know how you can get there and all that. But I love sightseeing, and we never get to do a ton of it. But that area of the country is just beautiful. And the reason why I brought this up was because Back to the Future, one of them was on the other day, and there were some scenes from, I think, the second one that were shot in and around the Oxnard area where we were typically. So, yeah, that's cool. They're going back out there. I was afraid when the Cowboys got the star that everything was just going to be Arlington, which just seems kind of boring and kind of non-Cowboys to be boring. So I'm glad they're still doing that.
All right. I hope we get a chance to get out there for at least a little bit, even if it's for 3 to 4 days. This is breaking news, but it was news that we learned late last week. Sha'Carri Richardson, was not selected for the U.S. 4x100-meter relay team. She will miss Tokyo. There's a lot of breaking news, whatever. This is from Anthony Davis. This is just a random response to a guy that's dealt with athletes before. Honestly, I think this is the best situation for Sha'Carri. As someone who has worked extensively with athletes, this tells me it's probably a bit deeper than a failed test. She will be fine. She puts the right team in place, gets the right PR. She is going to soar the right way. So, and that's just...
she's handled this.
She's not been the problem.
She's not whined or complained and again, this is a conversation, and you and I had a debate before the show about it, that needs to be had, but the science needs to win out on it. That's what we don't let happen. The science needs to win out on it. Is this a performance-enhancing drug? Is this something they shouldn't be taking? Is this something that can help them not performance-enhance, but recover?
I don't think this is about her taking a performance-enhancing drug. It's about her testing positive for marijuana, which at the policy of the time, no matter what she was dealing with, she knew that, and she still did it.
And she said, I knew the rule, I know. I did it, and that's what happened. So,
well, my point was this, and Craig, if you guys both are, I know what side you're on, and I'm not against the marijuana leniency and all where we are. I'm not. My question is, I think marijuana can, in fact, help your performance.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it can. It doesn't make you bigger, better, faster, stronger, which, Paul, you and I, when we get into arguments, man, it's freaking blood. I love it. But I do think that marijuana can help you in a performance. It can calm you down. Maybe some need to be on bennies or amphetamines or whatever.
Well, those are way worse than marijuana.
I know. I'm not talking about.
But Randy Gregory clearly needed it just to deal with life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people like it can help with anxiety. It can help just clear your mind and not like, whoa, man, what's that? It's not like the stoner thing all the time.
Recovery.
It can help
it's
recovery.
Better than opiates.
And you say like, oh, well, it's smoking. It's bad for you. Well, Sha'Carri Richardson wasn't smoking a blunt or a bowl or a joint. She had gummy bears or just gummies. And so, you don't have to even smoke to get the feelings of it now. So, no, I'm telling you right now that if she was super nervous for a race and she just needed to like take that edge off, then yeah, that's a performance enhancer because that's what it did. It took that edge off and it got her more focused, so long as she didn't get too high, and then that could be something that hurts you. But if you do it the right way, then absolutely. There's plenty of athletes who have told stories about getting high before a game and having their best performance ever because they weren't thinking about all the other junk. They were just out there feeling good and playing ball.
But our argument before the show centered on what a performance-enhancing drug and why. My point is that the reason the leagues are letting marijuana in now, and I probably should have clarified this, we're arguing is marijuana can't make your heart explode.
Right.
But steroids, amphetamines, and all the stuff that they've banned, and the reason that they don't, like if steroids didn't make your heart explode, if performance-enhancing drugs, the one that they've banned, didn't hurt you in that regard if you abuse them or take too many, believe me, if there was a way that people could healthily take them, they would give them to everyone.
Yeah, but I also think that marijuana is now, it's more lenient. The law is because of just things are changing.
Well, and I think
I don't know if it's because of the health. I just think the pressure took over and states started, and they're making money. And it's just a sign of the time.
Well, I think, too, that a lot of people who were in power back in the day treated it like it was the boogeyman and the worst thing of all time. And I would argue that I would much rather be around somebody who's been just high on weed, not on other stuff, but on weed versus somebody who's sloppy drunk. And I would rather ride with that person. I would rather do a lot of things with the high person versus the sloppy drunk person. So, I think it's just education. I think people realized, hey, this isn't like this thing that's bringing down society and all that. Now, there are drawbacks. It does make some people super lazy and not want to go get a job or do anything meaningful.
Or leads to some other drugs.
Or it's a gateway. And I don't think it's that way for everybody, but I do think it is that way for some people. I think people who have marijuana as a gateway, if they hadn't done marijuana and they drank alcohol first, alcohol probably would have been a gateway for them. If they had done Coke first, Coke would have probably been, I think a gateway for anybody who's susceptible to a gateway, it doesn't really matter what the substance is. But in the case of marijuana, that is one that a lot of people start off with. And so therefore, it does expand into some other things depending on the person. But yeah, I think it's just mostly education. And, there's still a long way to go for that stuff. But Sha'Carri Richardson, like you said, she knew the rules. And it can be a performance enhancer in some ways. I can definitely see that. So she learned, and she'll now have to think twice the next time she has an opportunity.
All right, so let's go to a couple of some of the text messages, then a break, then John McClain from TJ from earlier today. Let's see here. This is from earlier. I find, that do not group all of us Texas fans, Craig. I think we were talking about, what were we talking about with that? I don't remember that. That was about when I said that it doesn't, just because the Big 12 is better because Texas is better. I understand the arrogance with that. I also understand the national perspective. There's a difference between relevant and good. Relevant is going to be the Lakers, the Cowboys, the Yankees, and then there's those handful of college football teams. I get it, but that doesn't mean you have to have them.
No, I used to get in this argument all the time, like, well, the Yankees being good is better for baseball. And it's like, yeah, but I enjoy when they're not that good. So count me as somebody who's on the opposite side of that argument. Yeah, every once in a while it's fun to see the dream team, Cowboys, Lakers, Yankees, whatever, get somewhere and then fall. That's why everybody was rooting against the Patriots, because they wanted to see the good team fall. But yeah, I don't buy that it has to be those teams for these leagues to have super success. And I think if that's something that they have to rely on, not that they do, obviously, but if that's something that you believe, then I think that speaks ill of the leagues themselves, that they would have to have these 2, 3, 4 big market teams to always be at their best.
The NBA has flourished over the last 10 years, and the Knicks, who are in their biggest market, have been terrible. And the Nets are just now good. So
the ratings for the playoffs this year are high, and it's without the Lakers got nuked in the first round.
And part of that, I think, is because you have, now they're superstars on other teams. Giannis is fun to watch. Yeah. Chris Paul. And look, Chris Paul's not even the most fun guy to watch on the Suns. It's Devin Booker. I mean, so, it's fun to watch.
Also from T-Rex, guys, players have been selling jerseys, helmets, and other team-issued gear after their playing time for years. How else do you think I acquired everything I have? They can now do it without trying to be secretive. Mike George, the Miami thing is just the beginning of Pandora's box. Boosters are going to find out ways to circumvent it. I'll go a step further. $500 a month, $6,000 a year times 85 scholarship players, $510,000 per year. How could the investor ever hope to recoup that, or is it just an excuse to help with recruiting?
It's just an excuse to help with recruiting and probably getting a lot of little handshakes and pats on the back from his buddy boosters. That whole deal, his little world that he lives in. It's probably a major, major deal for him. But for those of us on the outside looking in, yeah, he's basically just flushing $500,000 down the toilet because he's not going to get that return on investment. What was the one you read right before that? Or about the jersey? Yeah. I mean, I know that. I know that they sell their jerseys. I'm just saying in this world now where they're getting so much that it rubs me the wrong way that, you're also taking free merchandise and then turning around and selling that on top of all the other thousands of dollars worth of things that you're getting. It's not a legal or illegal thing. It's not I'm upset about it. It's just something that kind of irks me because I just wonder what's the return for the school? Outside of those teams, those handful of teams that win championships every year, I know they bring in ticket money and all of that, but the school is spending, and now they're doing more for the individual athlete than they've ever done before.
Yeah, but what the argument is that they're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars is what the argument is.
Yeah, but they're not, though. But they are and they're not because what they're doing is they're covering costs.
Right, exactly.
They're not bringing in $10 billion and then that just everybody splits 10. No. What's $10 billion after all the money spent on recruiting and facilities and enrollment and all? Okay, it's like half of what it was, and then that's split up. So
it's actually more athletic departments lose money, I think, annually than probably a handful that do.
Yeah. So, anyways, the T-Rex, I totally know that people have been doing that. I guess legally previously, but I don't know. It's just There's just so much in one favor and not so much in the other.
From Daniel, example, East Texas businesses won't have to go out of their area to get athletes to advertise their product. UT Tyler, Laterno, of course, they're in Tyler, Longview, East Texas Baptist, and Marshall. Athletes could also benefit. It is Division I, Division II, and also Division III.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if, UT Tyler softball player is popular or something, yeah, I mean, it's free game for everybody. I don't know how much interest there's going to be in most places, and that's been the thing I keep repeating as like my major overall question is, yeah, it's a big deal right now. How big of a deal is it going to be halfway through football season,
Matt in D.C., I wouldn't say track because those players, as we mentioned earlier, that Michael Johnson, when he was at Baylor, would probably have been an NIL candidate, maybe not. He was more of the Team USA. Players go pro as soon as possible, some after their freshman year. We saw the young man, Lightfoot, the pole vaulter from Baylor. Griner could have cashed in on the NIL the most. Maybe Epe Udo with the nightmare theme. You need a hook or a brand. Matt in D.C. Matt, Daniel, Mike, T-Rex, also TJ, among others. Thanks for your time. David Anderson also. I'm with Craig on the athletes selling their swag, even though I own a 2013 throwback uniform, but that was brought through the athletic department and not an individual player.
Yeah, it's like when the school turns around and they have those sell-offs. I totally get that. That's their merchandise, and that's all I'm saying. And again, it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm not losing sleep over it. I just think it's kind of odd that they're allowed to do that.
When we come back, John McClain, Paul's Top 5 at 5:55 in less than a half an hour, and this is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. You build things with what they have. You build big things with what they have, or maybe it's just an entryway into a ranch or wherever you have just a nice entryway into wherever you live, whether it's a big, huge area like ranch or big real estate or just something that you have in a nice little neighborhood. They have the product. Pipe and steel and metal. Pipe and steel and metal and whatever else you need to build heavy-duty, big, large buildings, metal buildings, and other facilities. complexes. They have it. Pioneer Steel and Pipe has been in business since 1943. 1943, and here they are. And they have locations in Waco and also in Bryan. They're open Saturdays 8 to noon if you can't get there during the week. And if you can't get there, but you need something delivered to the site, commercial or real estate, or wherever you are, they will deliver it and unload it for you, because we're talking about pipe and steel and metal. It's heavy as a bunch of it. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, also building their new location on Loop 340 and 12th Street in Waco. The Pioneer Boys at pioneerboys.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McClain County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
He's a Hall of Famer, John McClain. Houston Chronicle joins us on SicEm365 Radio. John, I know that they're doing that golf deal, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau. I was thinking about Tom Brady. I know he's had some things along the way, the investigation, deflate, all that stuff. I get that. But in the end, is he about as good a superstar, guy who's handled a career? I know others like Staubach or whatever, but is he one of the best, not just as a player, but how he's handled everything?
I think absolutely. He's the greatest quarterback in history, and people are envious of him because of his family life, his wife. You've never seen him involved in anything legally. He and Peyton Manning are about as good a twosome of superstars and role models as you could get.
John, will you and other Texans writers have to do a lot of getting to know you articles about this team this year since there's 46 new players?
Paul, there's 50 new players, 42 veterans, and yes, we're going to have to do that, and they're going to have to get to know each other. They've been together throughout the off-season program, but they've yet to see each other when they put on pads and they start to hit. So it's an interesting situation. I say interesting. It's also a fascinating situation. I've never seen anything like it. And they're definitely starting over. And because they didn't have a lot of salary cap money, didn't have first or second round pick, the new general manager, Nick Caserio, chose to go after veterans, but all on 1 and 2 year contracts, except for a punter, Cam Johnston from Philadelphia, he gave a 3-year deal to. So the idea was to bring in some guys who he thought were good and then got hurt last year. Or like Malik Collins of the Cowboys. He's pretty good. Then he left and he was not good. Guys that at some point had showed they could be productive. And so what you do is you dangle a contract extension from in front of them like a carrot on the end of a stick, and you hope that enough of them are really hungry to make more money and take advantage of next season when the cap goes back up and they'll have a lot of money to spend. So it's an interesting theory that they've devised and the way they've gone about it. And the quarterbacks, first time since their expansion here in 2002, they've had all new quarterbacks. And I can't remember if I talked to you guys about this last week, but the thing I'm most interested in about camp and preseason games, how do they divvy up the snaps with 3 quarterbacks? You have a veteran, Rod Taylor, who has to have enough to build a rapport with his new teammates and be ready for the opener against Jacksonville. You have a backup, Jeff Driscoll, 15 and 6 years. You can't ignore him because if Taylor gets hurt, as he did in his last 2 starting jobs at Cleveland and with the Chargers, he's going to be the one to replace him. And Davis Mills, a 3rd-round pick, top draft choice from Stanford, that's the one people are the most excited about. They got to see him because at some point this season, he's got to play extensively because if by a miracle he could be their quarterback, that would change next year's draft. If he can't, then of course their top priority next year's draft, when they might have the 1st overall pick, is to get a quarterback. So they can't ignore Davis Mills. So watching how those quarterbacks are used in camp and preseason to me is so intriguing.
John, I remember being impressed by Garrett Wallow when he was at TCU. He was one of the Texans' 2 5th-round picks. What have been some of the early comments or returns on Garrett Wallow?
Some wondered if maybe he would move to strong safety because he's undersized. The linebackers coach said absolutely not. That would be Miles Smith, Lovie Smith's son. By the way, I did a story Sunday that's on our sports website, TexasSportsNation.com, on Lovie Smith and his son Miles Smith, coaching linebackers, their relationship, what people say about the two of them, their similarities and their differences. And I've known, like David, I've known Lovie for more than 20 years, but Miles was very interesting to get to know his philosophy of coaching. He said, I'm a teacher, and I'm like a high school teacher. And my subject just happens to be football, and I know everybody learns at a different rate, and I got to figure out what that rate is and then make sure I teach them the right way. So watching them, to me, is exciting. And Wallow, Miles Smith said no. He is a linebacker. I think this, Craig, he's going to be one of their best special teams players right off the bat.
The Hard Knocks, so shocking. It's kind of like the Cowboys and Giants. It seems like every year start on Sunday night or Monday Night Football, and not this year. But Hard Knocks and the Cowboys, is that like just the default if they can't find somebody else of interest?
Well, they could have made another team. The difference is Jerry Jones wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jerry eats up that publicity. As someone who's seen every episode of Hard Knocks going back to the first year, I'm always fascinated by all of them behind the scenes, but especially the Cowboys and especially Jerry. No offense to Mike McCarthy, but he's boring compared to Jerry Jones. The team I wanted to see, the team I would love to see every year is New England and Bill Belichick. I mean, everybody should want to watch him squirm, knowing in his office they had cameras on him everywhere except when he goes to the bathroom. And I'm guessing he conducts a lot of coaching business from the bathroom, knowing they couldn't follow him in there. And I wanted also this year, I thought Arizona would be great from a personal standpoint because of J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins. And I like Cliff Kingsbury and I like Kyler Murray. But you can't go wrong with the Cowboys on anything, especially when they should bounce back and win the NFC East. I think they're going to win it handily because I think they would have won it last year as they did the year before if Dak Prescott had not been injured.
John, I went to overthecap.com and you're talking about the 1 and 2 year deals, and the Texans only have 20 players under contract 2 years from now. And one of those guys is Deshaun Watson, who we all assume is not going to be there anyway. So really you can look at it as 19 players that they have any long-term future for, and some of those are draft picks from this year. Have you ever seen it done this way before, or is this kind of like they're doing expansion again?
Yeah, I have not. And now I have one of my co-hosts on one of my shows here on the Texans flagship, Seth Payne, played nose tackle for 10 years. And he was part of the Texans expansion team, came from Jacksonville. And he said, when it comes to new players, yes, he said, but he said, these guys have been good. He said, at our group, they weren't very good. They won 4 games that first year. Everybody thinks they're going to win less than that this year in David Culley's first season. And they very well may. They may be like Jacksonville last year, go to 1-15, 1-16. But I think in 2 years, that group of 19 may be cut down to like 7 or 8. I was asked on the air this morning here how many guys that I thought could be starters, and it was 7. So that means they have 15 jobs open. Usually you say, well, there's 15 guys who are returning starters, and based on moves made in the offseason, they probably got 7 spots open. They got 15 starting spots open as far as I can tell.
All right, John, thank you. Craig, Paul, David Smoak, and John, go ahead. Okay, John, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. John McClain, Houston Chronicle, with us on Tuesdays in the 5:30 segment or so, and it's a great double dip when it comes to the NFL with David Helman and John McClain. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 at 5:55 as well. Thanks to Three Nations Brewery. Thanks to John Royers. They will sponsor our coverage from Big 12 Media Days a week from Wednesday and Thursday in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. Nice to have kind of an opportunity to get back to some normal, although obviously being smart about it. So Three Nations Brewing, appreciate them for the sponsorship of our coverage. The Big 12 Media Days next week in Arlington on Wednesday and Thursday. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home: Waco, Woodward, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person, or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. They've got instant issue debit cards. So if you lose your debit card, or it you have a problem with it, it gets compromised online, and you need to get a new one. A lot of times you go to a big national bank, they say, okay, we're going to overnight you one, or it's going to be 2 or 3 days. No. As long as the bank's open, you go right to the bank. You tell them, you can even do it in the drive-thru. You can tell them, I need a new debit card. I lost mine. And then probably about 10 minutes, you're going to have a new one, if not less. That's how fast it happens. And there you're not worried about it anymore. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Alan Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Cherokee and the new Grand Cherokee. Built tough as nails and able to stand up to any challenging off-road trails or city roads, travel with the innovative technology to meet your lifestyle. Jeep, a great SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, the best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340 or visit them online at AlanSamuelsDCJ.com. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302. You
want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
I don't know if I brought this up or not, but Zach Byron, the young man from Pinson Valley, was in the Elite 11 competition. I did bring that up, but he did finish in the top 11 out of like 20 of the quarterbacks were there. I never really saw much write-up of him, but he might be joining us sometime this week just to discuss the experience, not the commitment to Baylor. We know what he's done there, and also he's been a ringleader for the class of 2022. But he apparently performed well, and he was like just someone that didn't get a lot of ink. And I sometimes wonder, those who write those stories, if they're connected to certain places anyway.
Well, I'll tell you one guy in particular, and I wish he was committed somewhere else so it didn't sound like I was trying to bring up UT, but Malik Murphy, who is their quarterback commit, he's out of California, and he apparently, like, on the final tabulation finished, like, second overall or something, but then I read, like, report after report after report about, like, all the things that he doesn't do well or that he needs to work on, and then I saw one site that was, like, had him at 2, and then another site said – like he was more like middle of the pack. So, I mean, I'm sure there's politics that play into this. I mean, matter of fact, I know there is, just based on like invites sometimes and things like that. But bottom line is that Zach Pyron went out and got his invite and he earned it, and he's going to get a ratings bump. I don't know if he's going to be like a solid 4-star or whatever, but he's going to get a bump and probably will be a 4-star, I would think. And that'll be good for Baylor because he appears to be locked in. But you know, it's a cool deal. I think if you're a part of it, it's a cool deal to mention, I guess, if the quarterback of the school you root for is going to be there. But in the end, I don't know how much it really does, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Well,
it's cool, though.
Yeah, we're going to get just an experience. His father told me that it's just beat down.
Well, I mean, his experience.
It's not just a little vacation.
No, his experience is unique and it's cool, and I'd be interested in hearing that. I'm just saying, like, the overall coverage of the event and actually paying attention to it and being, like, involved in it or wanting to know the details of it. I don't know how many people really care about that, honestly. They know that their guy makes it, and then they want to see where they end up on the final list. That's pretty much been my experience with Elite 11, but I'm sure he has an interesting story to tell.
You know, that U.S. Olympic basketball team, Greg Popovich is going to be the head coach, and there was that Jalen Rose comment, which, of course, went – like right through all of media without any kind of backlash or whatever. There's some people that wrote a column or two about it, but it didn't affect his job at ESPN, and it's not the first time he's spoken out of turn. But Kevin Love today acknowledged that he is on the team during what is in the midst of a down period of his career. Greg Popovich responded, "We're going to work his ass off." And, of course, Rose said that he was a token white guy, that the U.S. Olympic team didn't want to send a bunch of black guys to the Olympics, which they did the last time there were Summer Olympic Games in 16.
Yeah. The last 2 times.
Okay, last 2 times.
Jalen Rose has an affinity for putting his foot in his mouth, but because he's popular enough, he can just rail off and say whatever he wants, and it's, you know, doesn't matter. But, no, I think he's a moron for what he said. And, you know, I'm going to stick with that. And, you know, I can only imagine if the word token was on the other foot, how well that would go over with Jalen Rose. And we know how that would go over, but, you know, that's the world we live in now. So.
All right.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club, opening this weekend. Get your tickets now, slapstickscomedy.com. I will be doing improv at 7 o'clock on Saturday and stand-up at 9. It's 2 different shows, so 2 different tickets you'd have to buy if you're just that big a fan of me. But that's on Saturday, July 10th. They've got a headliner coming in, funniest comic in Texas, 2012 on Friday night. So please get your tickets, slapstickscomedy.com. All right, top 5 Baylor players we are anxious to see. And these are all guys who... recruiting hype or have played a little bit, but now are going to be thrust into bigger roles. And so people, I say we're anxious. I mean, I guess the collective Baylor observation world.
I have one note on the USA team. Can I mention this real quick? Because I just saw this. Jalen Rose conveniently left out that Kevin Love is only the second white NBA player to make the Olympic team since 1996. The second. John Stockton was the only other one.
Yeah. Who happens to be maybe the greatest point guard along with Magic Johnson and who maybe one day Luka.
I didn't know that stat until just now because I see Jalen Rose and I tune out. But, yeah, that's another little...
Bulletproof, man.
Good one, dude.
He's bulletproof.
Well, good one. What a great point you made there, Jalen.
Yeah. All right, number 5.
Wait a minute, what are we doing?
Baylor players we're anxious to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the collective we.
All right.
The collective we. Number 5, Lorando Johnson, very highly recruited defensive back, steps into a secondary that's got some experience, but in Dave Aranda's defense, he does use a lot of depth in that secondary, and so I do think that this is a guy that we could see after a redshirt freshman year last year.
How many of these 5 are former attached to LSU?
Just him, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just him.
All right.
Yeah, just him. And some of them are just...
Well, it'd only be one other person, but... Okay.
Yeah, so, all right, yeah. And these, again, like Siaki Ika wouldn't be on this list. It's not on this list. All right, number 4, Seth Jones. Wide receiver, big guy. I think about he had the best puppet in the recruiting day, but with a wide receiver room that I don't really know. I know who should be, but that next wave needs to start showing up because guys like R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton will be gone soon. So Seth Jones is someone I think I'm anxious to see take that next step.
With all due respect to Seth, I haven't thought much about him. And, there's a lot of guys that deal with injuries.
He made this list to me over Jackson Gleason, who's been on the roster longer.
We saw him in the playoff game.
Yeah.
He did catch one long pass for South Lake Carroll, didn't he, against Midway? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but he did basically nothing in that game. Yeah. I was not walking away very impressed with him after that. Because and also when you only hear one thing about a guy over and over and over again, he's so fast. He's so fast. He's so fast. He's so fast. Well, tell me something else about him. Do you know he's really fast? Okay, that's great. Well, that does tell me something. So yeah, Seth Jones, I think is, he's younger in his career. He's definitely got to keep an eye on, but yeah, they definitely need some receivers to step up behind R.J. Sneed, and they need even R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton to step up.
They need Holmes and Jalen Ellis and all those guys. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring up Jalen Ellis.
All right.
Number 3.
I didn't know this.
Jalen Ellis.
You never let me know this.
No, I don't for a reason. Number 3, Jalen Ellis. This is maybe the guy I think who has the most potential to break out of the wide receivers that we haven't seen a whole lot of. I talked about Fleeks. You can talk about Fleeks and R.J. Sneed, all those guys. But Jalen Ellis, we saw some flashes of him last year late in the season, that this is a guy who can boogie, who can catch the ball, who can be a big play receiver, who can maybe do some things
we saw,
all over the field.
Wasn't there a couple of plays he made last year?
He made a touchdown in the spring game, and then he taunted, and he got in trouble, if you'll remember that.
Good.
Yeah, because he was loafing and bragging or whatever he was doing after he caught the ball. So I think he's just somebody that needs to mature a little bit and – obviously came in and has the speed and has the quicks, but
he started out a career with an ACL. Right?
Yeah,
didn't he have coming out of high school?
Yeah, but he's had time now to get bigger and do all those things you're supposed to do if you're not quite up to snuff right away. But the problem the last couple of years has been they haven't had anybody who can throw the ball to these guys. Mm-hmm. Like whether it was Charlie's arm or the pressure he was facing. The reason why Jacob Zeno came in and wowed everybody over 2 whole plays, quite frankly, was because he threw it deeper down the field.
Save it.
No, but he threw
his name?
He threw it down the field, and that's what sparked him. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, we did a play over 20 yards."
Yeah, Kirk, save it for 2 people.
But I'm trying to make the point of that has played into it as well. So Seth Jones and all these guys, they have a prime opportunity to go do something.
Yeah, I like your enthusiasm. Keep it going in a couple things.
Can we mention that name again?
Yeah, Byron Hanspar Jr. came with a lot of hype, and he's a guy who is
where his dad went back and got his degree. I think
one of the highest character guys on the team. He's going to be a leader on the team. Would like to see him be a contributor on this team.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy. Could run for president, that kind of person. But now let's see what he can do in football.
Now that he's a veteran on the team, so to speak.
Yeah, he's great off the field. I think he's probably one of the sharpest young men they have on the entire team. Just well-rounded and all those things, but has made little to no dents on the field.
Yeah.
As far as just memorable things, I've seen him out there, but I can't tell you a single play that he's made. And he's at the end of his clock. So, if he's going to do it, it has to be this year.
All right. And number 1, and to your point, Craig, Jacob Zeno.
Man, we don't share this information with us.
Yeah, I don't. But, and Craig's point is great. I think people, it is weird to me how people are so, and not that they shouldn't be in his corner for whatever reason, but they're so in his corner over a couple of throws. It is... If you were trying to test a scientific theory based on the evidence we've seen from Jacob Zeno, they wouldn't even let you publish the paper. There's not enough evidence. Not to say that he's not going to be a fantastic player. I don't know. But the amount of people who are already sold on Jacob Zeno is...
Well, I got to tell you, though, and everyone always used to sit there and just blast away at me because I defended Charlie as much as possible. It wasn't that I was defending Charlie. I just was telling the truth of what I saw. And poor Jacob Zeno gets caught in this thing. It's not his fault. But those 2 throws he made were dynamic. They were monstrous in big moments in a big game where he could have come in and just froze.
Well,
even though his stats for the rest of the game were not much, or even last year because he never got a chance, he did flash something. And God help him. I hope that for his sake, that's who we see coming up.
Yeah, if Chris Platt doesn't get caught from behind,
yeah,
then
they win the Big 12 championship.
They beat
most
Oklahoma
likely.
for a Big 12 title if that doesn't happen. But, I mean, we talk about him making a couple passes. You look back at the stats, it was legitimately just 2 passes.
Yeah.
He completed 2 passes. That's everybody's memory from that game was 2 passes. That's it.
But they were both huge.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying people are literally going off
I know.
2 plays.
It's like a guy who comes in as a backup quarterback in the final drive and throws a couple plays. But you're right. I mean, last year
But they were 2 catches for 159 yards and a touchdown, and should have been 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so, we just didn't see anything resembling that ever with Charlie running the offense. We just didn't. And that's a shame, but new era, so let's see if they can't get that going.
Baylor added a junior college transfer pitcher, Brett Garcia. Thanks to everybody in this studio, from Hayden to Emma to Jack and Armstrong. It's great to be back. We'll be back again tomorrow. For Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Our sponsors with us continue to grow, and we cannot wait for what we can do in the future because it's coming right down the pipeline in this studio and all our facilities and the ownership and partnership these people we work for, Brian, Ashley, and Calder. Incredible. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.